how do I say this to the Vice President of the United States?
Did you have a positive experience working with President Trump? At 19 years old, Jerry Zarrella made a $2,800 investment that would propel him from his humble beginnings.
What happened was my father was a womanizer. So he loved his women, and he left my mom. We were on welfare. We didn't have a penny, didn't have a dime, not a nickel, nothing. We didn't have any family. My father never came to see us. I couldn't walk. I was in an iron lung. I had a needle in my back. I beat all that stuff. I lived in the projects. I beat all that stuff. All I did was work. So I used to work at a car wash. Here I am, 16 years old. They're going to be the kiss off man, right? So I got to basically I got to kiss their ass. Right?
Being the owner of Rhode Island's largest concrete foundation company. How did you go from that moment to the biggest in Rhode Island?
Every day.
And the Zarrella Development Company, a premier designer and builder of high-quality homes that has constructed over 1,000 private residences and $25 million of commercial real estate, bringing the total value of the real estate Jerry's companies have constructed to an estimated $625 million. Jerry also led a successful political career, working with many highly influential figures in both local and national politics, including 2 U.S. presidents.
I brought in Bill Clinton, came to my house in Block Island. He invited Debbi and I to the White House. I brought Trump in. He shows up, and that was the day that they suspended Tom Brady. He comes walking in. The headlines in the paper is, "This town won't be the same without Jerry."
In his personal life, Jerry won a landmark legal case, made national headlines, and narrowly avoided a prison sentence.
All of a sudden, all these freaking police are surrounding us, right? I went right through the gate. They had a Mach 1, and you go over the humps, boom, boom, boom. They got a helicopter with a light on me, cops all around me, right? I got Milton in the car. I said, "Milton, you got to get out of there. You got to get out." So I said, "Put your hands up and just walk out," right? He gets out. So now they surround me. They say, "Throw out the gun. Throw out the gun," right? So I throw it out already. Throw out the gun. You got to get out. Bring your hands up. I said, these guys. So I take my shirt off and throw my shirt off. Take my shoes off, throw my shirt off, right? Take my pants off and come out in my underwear. I said, because these guys think I got a gun. I said, "No f***ing gun," right? They arrest me. Charlie walks in, he goes, "What the f*** are you doing?" "Jerry, I told you, you're gonna go to jail. Don't do this stuff."
Jerry Zarrella, a West Warwick resident who lost his wife when his wife ran away with his best friend. So Zarrella sued his best friend. This first of its kind in the nation lawsuit got national publicity on The Donahue Show.
We win $100,000. Back then, that would be the equivalent to $1 million today.
Jerry's perseverance, self-confidence, genuine persona, and other insights from this conversation are all key takeaways that we can use to enrich our lives and the world we create around us. I had an absolute blast listening to Jerry, and I hope that you enjoy this episode of the WildWhy podcast. Thanks.
Big trees around the house, big trees. Like if you watch Yellowstone and stuff like that, you'll see them. And that was to break the wind, break the snow, break everything. You keep it around and keep the house cool, right? So I did that around the carriage house. I put bigger trees around the carriage house. And, I just kept working at it, and it became a passion. And it became a passion, but it became a costly passion. You know what I mean? Some people are
Can't
golfers.
even imagine.
Yeah, some people are golfers. I mean, someone has a golfing passion. Sometimes they pay $50,000 to join a golf course, and then they pay all the money. So then people have a boat. I had boats before. They pay $500,000 to have a boat and stuff like that. So my passion wasn't golf. My passion was boats, but I got out of boating after about 15 years. But this became my passion. So,
and you can see it in the way that it's manifested.
This has my DNA all over it.
So I want to ask you, you're a builder.
Right.
How did you get started in that?
Well, all right, so I'd have to, that you'd have to hear the beginning of my life story. Right? So I have a sister and I have a brother. My sister is a year older. My brother is a year younger. So I was the middle. We lived in Cranston. My father bought a brand new house back there. I think at the time he paid $10,000 for it. It was on Cornell Street. And what happened was my father was a womanizer. Right? So he loved his women, and he left my mom. And he left me, my sister and brother. So my mom raised us. She couldn't afford to raise us on the pay she was making. She was working in a bakery. My mother was, she was a house mom. She had 3 kids, and she was relying on my father's paycheck to raise us. So she had to get a job. Her skill set was very limited. So she went to work at a bakery, Collier's Bakery. She worked at 2 bakeries. We ended up going on welfare, so we lived in the projects. So I lived in 646 Prairie Avenue, apartment 6D. I would take my kids down there, the 2 older boys, and say, this is the roots where your father came from. I never lost my roots. All right, I was the only Italian white kid in the projects. I was the only Italian white kid in the projects, right? So I grew up with a lot of minorities and people like that. So I respect them because I don't see, when I look at somebody, I don't see black, white, yellow. I don't see anything. You know what I see? I see a person, right? So I respected them. And I went to all through the Catholic schools on it, St. Michael's, St. Matthew's, the Assumption, Bishop Hendricken. I think there was another Catholic school in there. So I lived in the projects. When we were on welfare, we didn't have a penny, didn't have a dime, not a nickel, nothing. We didn't have any family. My father never came to see us, right? It was just my mother. My mother went to school, and she went to school at night to be a secretary. And she got tied up with someone's campaign. She worked on someone's campaign, and he ended up being elected to the Rhode Island Senate. And he became the president of the Senate. His name was Ray McCabe. And he gave my mother a job working in the Senate. She continued to go to school at night. And she got a job working at the Rhode Island Supreme Court. When she retired, after 25 years working at the Rhode Island Supreme Court, she retired as the head secretary to the Chief Justice. Oh. And we moved out of the projects. We went to Warwick, and we went that way. But I was always poor, you know what I mean? So, we wouldn't have what someone else had. We didn't have cars. We didn't have a car, so we'd have to wait for my Uncle Ed to come over and pick us up and take us out on a Saturday. We never had a car. But we were on the bus route in Providence, right? So I ended up getting polio. So I was in an iron lung.
An iron lung?
An iron lung. You got to Google an iron lung. And any of your listeners out there, they got to Google it. And
what is it?
It's a cylinder. It's an absolute cylinder. And it breathes for you. And you're in there. The only thing that's out is your head. It's the only thing that's out is your head. Now I'm in this iron lung, and it's breathing for me. Because I had polio.
Oh, iron lung.
Iron lung, right? And they had them at the Chapin Hospital down here in Providence. They would be lined up like bunk beds, right?
Oh
so you're sitting there, and then you figure you're never gonna walk. You're not gonna do. I had all kinds of. That's it. See that picture right there? That's an iron lung. So that's where I was. When I was 7 years old, I spent some time on that.
My God.
Take a break.
Okay, we'll take a break.
All right, so where were we?
The iron lung, which looks horrible.
It's terrible. It was terrible. So now you got to visualize. You got to visualize. I was in the 3rd grade, 7 years old, living in the projects, living on welfare, right? Living in an iron lung, right? Having them tell me I'm not going to walk again, and I got braces. I don't ever know if you ever remember
Can I interrupt
Jerry Lewis, the telethon that he did for muscular dystrophy.
Yes.
Well, I could have been a poster boy for Easter Seal. I had braces on my legs, braces on my arms, right? So, And back then, polio was a big deal.
Yeah, can I ask you,
how,
how did you feel when you found out? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but how did you feel when you found out that you weren't going to walk again?
I was 7, 8 years old. I could only think back like I felt like I was a vegetable, you know. I mean, what am I going to do, right? So back then, you know, my environment back then was a whole lot different than the environment you get now. So I just figured, you know, this is the cards that I'm dealt, you know. So I can remember they did a spinal tap on me where they have to put a needle in your spine and they're going to draw out fluid. They broke the friggin' needle, right? I mean, so yeah, they broke the needle. So that was another issue that I had, right? So I learned that I had to fight. Like if I wanted to do something, I had to fight. You know, you could do this, you could do that, right? So, and the reason why we're talking about this is he asked me how I could start in the construction business. So I'm giving you the foundation. So when you build a house, you're going to put the foundation in first. So I'm giving you the foundation so then you can follow my life to where we are at my place here. So I never had a family, right? So you don't know how fortunate you are to have a family, to have a mother, to have a father. So I never had that. My mother was the best, but you know, she worked all the time and I had an older sister. And I had a younger brother. So my older sister is a story. I just lost my brother-in-law. So I went to the funeral. And
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and my nephews and nieces said, "Uncle Jerry, will you say something?" So they all get a kick out of me when I talk, you know. And every time we'd have the reunion, I would talk. So, but my brother-in-law was a great guy, right? But he started off as a graduate from URI, and he was a patent attorney. He wanted to be a patent attorney. He ended up building the largest patent attorney in Massachusetts. I think he had over 220 people. He was very, very wealthy, very wealthy. And my sister is very wealthy. But my sister is the opposite of me. She would never show up for the interview with this. She'd have a suit and tie on, or somebody would be dressed up, right? She'd be driven with a car, have the butler pick her up. So my ex-wife and I, my sister ended up working in Washington. She worked for a congressman. So we used to go down and visit her, We used to play touch football and stuff like that. And I'm just telling the story at the reception after the funeral. So I said, Ali, remember that time we were playing football and one of the guys from the streets come over and he said, "What are you guys doing?" I said, "Hey, you want to play?" I was like 19 at the time. "Yeah, all right." So we get to a little bit of a huddle. You know, this guy run this way, this guy run this way. So we said to the guy, you want to throw the pass? Could you pass? "Yeah, I pass," right? So my brother-in-law runs out to get a pass. I run out. Either my sister was covering me or somebody was covering, right? Here comes this beautiful ball floating across. My brother-in-law catches it. It was Sonny Jurgensen for the Washington Redskins.
I knew you were going to say
He was just walking by.
I
Sonny
knew you were going to
Jurgensen,
say
right?
something.
So there's Sonny Jurgensen, right? "Hey, can you throw the pass," right? So I tell a story. We're at the reception and they're all laughing. So I said, I got to do this because she did this to me. She did this to me like, I would say, 48 years ago. So she has me and my ex-wife at the time come over to the house for dinner. So we're sitting with all her friends, right? So when they're sitting with her friends, you know, remember I told you look at somebody, I don't see black, white, yellow, green. Well, I looked at her friends and all I saw was dollar signs. You know, who has this ring, who has this, who went over here, who went there, who and everything else, right? And I'm a little bit spontaneous, and like I'm saying, this operation is a little too dry for me, you know. So I'm talking to my sister. I said, "Hey, Arlette, you remember when we lived in the projects?" "Well, we never lived in the projects. We never lived in the projects." So that was 48 years ago. You know the last time I was at her house? 48 years ago. She never invited me back for dinner. Really, I kind of like embarrassed her. So she's saying, "I love my sister." I said, "Arlette, You got to admit we lived in a project. Okay, we lived in the projects. So my nieces and my nephews, they're all happy. Her mom finally did that, right? She goes, but we were already there a year. I said, no, we were there 5 years. I said, you got to quit denying this. So that's the funny part about it. So I basically wanted to tell you, I didn't have a family. My sister didn't have a family. She made a success out of herself. A tremendous success out of herself. I lost my brother-in-law, which is a great guy. He was in his 80s, 81, 82, right? He left a phenomenal family behind. So she never had a family. I never had a family. And my brother never had a family. So all I did was work. So I used to work at a car wash. And guy come over to me and said, I'm going to make you the kiss-off man. I said, what's a kiss-off man? He goes, you stay over there, you wipe the window down, you collect their card, and you tell them you have a nice day, right? So here I am, 16 years old. They're going to be the kiss-off man, right? So I got to basically I got to kiss their ass, right? Because they were there, right? So they made me the kiss-off man. So that's all I used to do. I was a kiss-off man, right? The car wash, right? So when I go to Bishop Hendricken, Bishop Hendricken, right? All I used to do was work. So back then, the kids used to get these GIQ quarts. It's a beer. It's like a quart of beer, right? The guys would go out drinking, and they would, on Friday nights, they would have canteen. Canteen was when the girls would show up at Bishop Hendricken. It was a man's school. And, they would have dances. The brothers would walk around swinging their rosary beads, right? And they'd say, leave room for the Holy Ghost if you were dancing too close to the girl, right? But I never knew how to ask a girl out or a date or anything. That wasn't me, I all I did was work. So now I guess I was 18. And I met this girl down at the beach, right? I said, yeah, she'll never go up. She had the big party in the house. And all the people, back then, they didn't have cell phones. They didn't have pages. They didn't have anything. I don't know how she got all these people there, but it was in the paper. There was over 300 people showed up at her mother's house. So her
mother must have loved that.
Her mother liked me. So I showed up. And I had, after everything went by, I was talking to the mother. I had a toothache. And the mother was trying to help me with my toothache that I had over there, right? So I said, this girl would never go out with me. You know what I mean? She's like, everybody wants to date her, right? So I ended up dating her, and then her mother she came from a good family. Every Sunday, all of her sister and brothers, everybody would come over. The mother would make spaghetti and meatballs. Every night there would be food there. Her father was a carpet layer. He was a blue collar guy, So that's a family life that I never had. So I fell in love with her. I fell in love with a family life that I never had. And we had when the hockey season came, she'd want to go out with the captain on the hockey team. When the football season came, she'd want to go out with the football player. Right? Me, I was a kiss-off guy, right? So
what season is that?
The kiss-off guy. I was all seasons, right? So her mother liked me. So I used to stay over there. So I used to stay there. So she would go on a date, and I would stay over. Guy would pick her up. I'd stay there. I got along with her mother, right? So it was like I was going to become like a big brother. I'd be staying over at the house there. But as you asked me before how I got going in the business, right? So I look around and I see her brother-in-law is very successful. He owns a printing business. Her brother is a stockbroker. He's very successful, right? I'm a kiss-off guy, right? Working at the car wash. So I think Kennedy got assassinated. They got assassinated. They closed the school down. At that time, I was going to Bryant College. So my mother went out, got a student loan, and wanted me to be a school teacher. Me, a school teacher, I was just telling your son, I'm a severe dyslexic. I've been on a panel at Yale University, so I've been to Yale. I've also been to Harvard. I'll tell you about that too. So I read 5th grade, 8th month, and I spell 5th grade 8th month, and I read 6th grade 2nd month. That's right. So you couldn't ask me to spell anything. I couldn't spell you anything, right? So, what part of the story did I shift gears on?
You were at your future mother-in-law's house, sleeping. Your wife went on a date.
Yeah, she would go on a date and everything else. And I realized that they had money in her brother and sister-in-law money. So Kennedy got assassinated. They closed Bryant College down. So I was at Bryant. I hated school. Couldn't stand it. Right? I used to think I was the dumbest kid in the world, right?
Oh, being dyslexic.
Yeah, I mean, back then they didn't know what dyslexia was. So I couldn't say to you, hey, I'm dyslexic. I would have to say to you, hey, I'm stupid. Right? So that's what would happen, right? So her mother, they closed the school down, and I wanted some extra money. And her mother said, why don't you go to work for my nephew? He's got a concrete foundation business over there. And you go as a laborer, go to work. So I show up. Back then I was a skinny little guy, had white pants on, white jeans were like the big deal. Who the hell knew I was going to be working in mud, dirt, oil, farms, everything else, right? And so I started to work, and the school was closed for the Kennedy thing. And he paid me at the end of the week. And now I got some money. I could take Lila out. Her name was Lila, right? So I didn't want to go back to school. I said I had enough, right? So who knew what I was going to do? I figured I'm going to end up being like her father, come home with the lunchbox, have the green uniform on, the carpet layer. I mean, I was satisfied with that life. You know what I mean? At that point,
Really?
I'm saying, what am I going to do? I'm going to be a worker for the rest of my life. So as I went to work and I started to work and I got aggressively, knowing that I could do more, I decided to do some stuff on the side. So on the side, I was damp-proofing foundations, which is you paint the black Lexanite on the foundation. I would go over and do some grading, hand grading with a pick and shovel. So I became a good laborer. And I didn't go back to school. And now I started dating Lila. So the opportunity came that the guy I was working with, I had a partner, and he was going through a divorce. And so his name was Ray, but we used to call him Monk. He was bald-headed. He looked like one of those monks, right? So that was his nickname, the Monk. I give people have the nicknames, right? So he goes, Shuby. Now, Shuby was Sammy. That was his name, Shuby, right? So we call Shuby wants to sell out. So he said to me, do you want to become my partner? Now, I'm 19, he's 35, right? He was just a good worker. So I got home, talked to my mother-in-law, and she said, how much? I said, they want $3,000 that I would buy his share. So I said, I'm going to see if I could talk him down. So I ended up buying it for $2,800. She gave me the money. So now I'm 19, 20 years old. I'm a partner in a business with a guy 35. I got people working for me. So I thought I would go in a different direction. So I went out and I started building the business up. And I ran into this guy. He was in the concrete business. His son today is my dentist. Son's 82, 83 years old. Looks just like his father. We talk about it. We talk about it all the time. And his father's nickname was Dolly. So his father's nickname was Dolly. Dolly became my father as far as advice. Like he would say, you could do this, go do this, go do this, go do this. And we pushed me, and I developed this business. So now, 2 years later, I'm working with my partner, the Monk. We're on a job. It was Christmas Eve. We just finished pouring a foundation, and we go home. So I had to go with my sister-in-law's for dinner that night. Phone rings. It's Monk. So I said, what's up, Ray? He goes, house phone. He said, I just want to let you know that as of January 1st, 50% of a corporation can liquidate the corporation. I said, what are you saying? He said, I'm going to go in the insurance business with my brothers. His brothers own Glover Padula Insurance Company. So I said, what does that mean? He goes, you could buy me out, right? And I said, will you stay on until I... Now, he said, as of the 1st, I'm going to put it into receivership. I said, Ray, it's Christmas Eve. How could I do this? So I would see my brother-in-law. This is another one. He passed away. He was a good guy too. But what you remember sometimes is the good things about him. But you also remember in time of need, the need wasn't there. He goes, what are you going to do? Ruin everybody's Christmas? And I said to myself, son of a bitch. He's worried about everybody's Christmas. Look at me. I got a wife pregnant. I got a partner telling me he's going to put me out of business. And he's worried about I'm going to ruin their Christmas. What about mine? Again, you got to learn to fight. So you got to learn to fight. So I just said to myself, I'll buy him out. So I called Dolly up. I said, Dolly, what are you going to do? How much does he want? I said, I got to go see him. I just bought the other guy out 2 years before for $2,800. Ray had an accounting background too, right? He wanted $75,000. So 2 years, we built the business up. I know the numbers like the back of my hand. I bought him for $60,000. So I bought him for $60,000, and I built the business. I became the largest foundation contractor in the state of Rhode Island. I owned Allied Concrete Farms. I had over 40 employees working for me. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll see 2 of them still communicate. Mike Woodruff, I call him Woody, he was on there. Stevie Very, he's on there. 2 of the tremendous guys. And all the guys respect me because I would work with them. We would think nothing of pouring cement. 4 o'clock or to 60 yards. We'd be out there with flashlights, putting the grade on and finishing it. Finish at 9 o'clock at night, go home, grab something to eat, come back 6 o'clock in the morning, take the forms down, go down to the next one. That's how we worked. I mean, and at the time when I had this business going, we had a governor. His name is Governor Noel. We have a courthouse down here named after him. He started the work release program. And they said, he said, he used to be at the tennis court when I played tennis. Hey, you want to get involved with this work release where you get these inmates to come to work for you? And back then, the draft just got ended. So we used to get good guys because they would come out from the draft. You go in, you get drafted, you do 2 years, you come out, everybody called me Sir. I said, my name's Jerry. You know what I mean? For a while, I thought my name was Sir. Everybody's calling me Sir. Today, they'll call you anything. They'll call you anything.
Anything but Sir.
But you might not even know what they're calling because they don't speak English.
Right.
So anyways, I lost my flow there. So
Noel.
Yeah. So
program.
I started the work release. I had the inmates work for me. I probably had in excess of 100 inmates. So what would happen is, if you were in prison and you made, you're going to be paroled. So prior, you got parole, but they want you to serve another 3 or 4 months. They would keep you there. So you were eligible for parole. You had your parole date, or you were going for parole, or you were a model inmate and you got to this program. So when they would come out, you'd pay them the minimum wage, right? They would have to pay the state for their food. It was small, like $10, and they would be not in a cell. It would be it was like a rooming board, and you'd have them. So, and then I got working with those guys. When I got working with those guys, you realized their problems. They all came from broken homes. They didn't have a father to guide them, right? That back then, it wasn't the drugs that you have out here today. I mean, you're talking 45 years ago. These drugs have come a long way. But it was like, if they wanted something, they didn't realize you work for it. What they did is you steal for it. Right. So if they wanted something, they would steal it. They wouldn't work for it. Or if I wanted something, I would work for it. I wouldn't steal. Like I would say, okay, that thing is $100. I'm going to go out and make $100. I'm going to buy it. They would say, that thing is $100. I'm going to come back tonight when it's stock. I'm going to take it. And that's what would happen. So I would interview with these inmates. They would bring them down. Henry Blackburn, he passed away, great guy. He started this program. A lot of the state owes him a big thank you. And I decided that I would hire them, but I wouldn't take a rapist or a child molester. I wouldn't take them. I didn't want those guys working for me because I would be out on jobs and people would, they all know that I would have inmates working for him, right? So Henry calls me up one time, Henry Blackburn. He goes, Jerry, Hank ain't coming to work today. I said, why? Hank said he'd rather go back to minimum security than go to work for you. Because I was a tough ass. I was a tough ass. Right? They have nothing on me, right? So they would rather stay in prison than go to work for me. These guys that I'm telling you about, they know the story, right? So anyways, we had a lot of fun, and we did a lot of work like that. So I was in the foundation business. And to grow my business, I realized I had to do something else. I had to do excavation. And Dolly Silvestri was in the cement business. So Dolly said to me, why don't we put a package together? Why don't we go to a builder and say, we'll give you forms, concrete, and excavation. Now, we put your whole foundation in. All you're going to do is bring the wood and start to build on it. So we had this guy who was back then I would call him a shoemaker. He was a big fat guy with a crew cut. His father had all the money in the world, right? His father was Holly Robinson. He built all of West Warwick. And he would keep his kid there. This kid would go to work with his flannel shirt on and his farmer's jean with the belt. He would go home at 12 o'clock, sit down and have lunch with his wife. The old school. And he'd go back at 1 o'clock and then quit at 4:30 and, go home, take a shower, wait for his supper, right? Me, 4:35, 6, I would be on a tennis court. I would be playing softball. I would be doing something. So I said, Sid, why don't you dig the foundations on the side for us on a Saturday and Sunday, see if you get the equipment from your father. So sure enough, that's what he did. So we had a package deal. It was forms, which you put up the inside, the outside, and you put the concrete in the middle of it. And it was dicking and backfilling. And he would give the cement, Dolly Silvestri. So we had this dealer. We would go out there. He had 2 daughters, and I had 2 boys. Right? So with Lila, I had 2 boys. So we would go out with the kids together. They were 3 and 4 years old, stuff like that, and we were friends. He grew a lot faster than what I thought. He really got into it. And he had money behind him. His father gave him the money. He went out and bought a lot of equipment. He became the largest. I was the largest foundation guy. He became the largest excavation company around, right? And he would start playing tennis, and he was a good tennis player. We used to play hockey at 5 in the morning. We used to go out and play men's hockey. He'd be a great skater. I was a goalie because I was the poorest skater. So you put me in goalie. That's a men's league. He'd be shooting the shit out of that puck, just to get me, He was always trying to put me down, but he couldn't put me down. He could beat me in tennis. He could beat me in a goal, right? But in the end, he couldn't beat me at what I did. And what I did is my life. He couldn't beat me at that. And he started dressing like we would dress and stuff like that, right? So my ex-wife at the time, she said to me, I'm at the gas station. This is what happens to me. This is a surprise you get. She's at the gas station. I pull in with my truck. She's there with the car. And she goes, today's the last day I'm going to be charging gas to you. We would go in and write it on a slip. I said, what do you mean? She goes, you didn't get served yet? I said, what are you talking about? She goes, I'm serving you for divorce. I said, holy shit. It was like the polio all over again. That was it. Like I'm back in an iron lung. What am I going to do? This is a girl I love. I'm married with her. I got 2 sons. We had a third one, but he died 2 days after he was born, right? So I was playing tennis. Her and I used to play tennis with another couple, and he was a psychologist. No, he was a psychiatrist. I went to see him. He goes, I know you're too good. He said, I'm going to refer you to a friend of mine. Right. He said, he's a psychologist. And I said, okay. His name was Bill Hancock. He's still living. He's a good guy. So he referred me to this guy by the name of Al Willoughby, right? Al passed away, and they let me speak at his celebration for life. He didn't believe in God. He didn't, he wasn't one of those type of guys, and they let me speak. But Al and I got to be good friends, big age difference. But I can remember him smoking a cigarette, me smoking a cigarette, and me and Lila and him sitting there talking about, going through all this counseling. So I never wanted to go. She's the one that dragged me there. She said, "You're going to go through this marriage counseling." As I look back, I realized what she was doing, right? And she was trying to set the foundation for why she's leaving me, so her family would know. Yeah, we never knew the other guy was involved. So she quit going to him, right? And him, I'm going to go to see a guy for therapy. I need therapy. So I would go to Alan. We would talk, we bullshit, and we get along pretty good, right? And he used to say to me, "Jerry, I seen guys in the army. I seen guys. You're probably one of the smartest guys I've ever seen." He said, "And you put that big thing around, let people think you're not smart, let people think you're crazy, and they leave you alone." He said, "Why don't you come out of that? Why don't you do what you're going to do?" I said, "How would you like to be married to Lila and she tells you what she's doing?" He said to me, "I wouldn't have been married to her." Right? So I knew he was seeing her separately and me separately, right? So anyways, now she's going to go through for the divorce. So now I got to go to my lawyer. Now this really gets involved. This is where the story is. This is why they all want to write the story. I go see the lawyer, Charlie Butterfield. Stop giving you names because I don't bullshit. You know what I mean? If you ask me what time it is, I'll tell you the time. I ain't going to tell you how to build a watch. So
what time is it? No,
right? I'm going to tell you how to build a watch, right? That's how these politicians, I ask them a question, they'll give you anything but the right answer.
We'll definitely get to that, but
so
go ahead.
So I go to Charlie, I got to go through a divorce and everything else. So I remember what she wanted. She wanted $300,000, and she wanted the house. $300,000 in the house. Now I'm making money. Now I'm probably in my 31, 32. All right. She wanted $300,000. So now Dolly Silvestri, he goes, "Look, you got to figure it out." He goes, "If she's cheating on you," I said, "I don't think she's cheating on me, because if he's cheating on you, you're giving up $300,000 to a boyfriend. You got to figure it out." So I hire, I hire this guy, Busby. He was another guy, Busby. He did all the alarms in the city of Providence. So I hire him. I said, "You think you could tap the phone at my house?" He goes, "Yeah, we'll tap it." So he taps the phone at my house, right? He taps the phone at my house. In the meantime, I got a private detective, Charlie Catera. Charlie was a Providence police officer, but he would do this on the side. He was getting ready to retire. So he would follow and stuff. And he comes back to me and he goes, "She's cheating on you." He said, "She takes her car to the Garden City." He said, "She goes into the store, into the ladies' room, and I lose her." He says, "Does she have wigs?" And I know she had wigs. Back then, women would wear the different wigs. She would walk out the back with her wig on, and Sid would pick her up with the car. This is true. This is in the court records, everything. You can follow this, right? He'd pick her up in the court records. But we didn't know it was Sid. He would lose her in the store. He didn't know who it was. So I said, "I tapped the phone, Charlie." He goes, "You did it?" Yeah. I said, "Let's go grab the tape. We'll go get it tomorrow." Well, I couldn't wait. So I go. That night I go. Charlie goes, "I ain't going home tonight. I'm staying here with you." He said, "Buddy, I'm staying here with you." He goes, "I don't want you going off the deep end." So he's sleeping on the couch. I go out. I get the tape. And I get the tape recorder. And I hear Sid on there. My daughter has the tape right now. My daughter, Sarah's got the tape. I gave her all my stuff. And I hear it, and he goes, "Oh, I saw Geraldine today. He was working over here. He used to call me Geraldine." Like I said, he couldn't put me down. He used to like to put me down because I was a challenge to him, you know what I mean? To make himself, he'd call me Geraldine. So anyways, now I know it's him, right? So now I had a BB gun for the kids. They used to go shoot a BB gun. So I go down my office, and I get this BB gun, and there's a hacksaw there. Cut the barrel off so it looks like it's a little shotgun, right? So I called Sid. I said, hey, Sid. I said, I was in a hit-and-run accident. I said, you're going to help me out. Can I meet you at your office? He said, come to my house. Come to my house. So I go to his house. He comes out the back door. He's in his bathrobe with his slippers on. I open a trunk of the car, and I pull out the gun. I said, get on your knees, you son of a bitch. I said more than that. I don't know.
You can say
I said, you
explicit of Zarrella.
motherfucker, get on your fucking knees. I said, you're going out with my fucking wife. I know all about it. And he ran in the house, and I hit him over the back with the butt of the BB gun, right? So I know what he's going to do because I didn't tell you what's on the tape. This is on the tape, right? So they call the police. In the meantime, I call my friend. Not my friend. I called the guy who worked for me, Milton. He was my office manager. So I got another history with him. West Warwick was looking for a building inspector. They couldn't figure it out, and I got him a job this was after. But anyways, I got him the job as a building inspector after. But anyways, I said, Milt, take a ride with me. And I tell him Milton what happened. He goes, holy shit. He goes, what are you going to do now? I said, I don't know. I said, I can't go to Charlie Butterfield, the lawyer, because I think he knows what these guys are doing, right? And by that time, all of a sudden, all these freaking police are surrounding us, right? Cranston Drive-In was right there in Cranston, and it had a gate. I went right through the gate. It had a Mach 1, and you go over the humps, boom, boom, boom. They got a helicopter with a light on me, cops all around me, right? I got Milton in the car. This is in the newspaper. My daughter will give it to you. This is where the movie is, right? I said, Milton, you got to get out of there. You got to get out. So I said, put your hands up and just walk out, right? He gets out. So now they surround me. They say, throw out the gun. Throw out the gun, right? I already threw it out. It was before I picked him up. I threw it out. I said, I threw it out already. Throw out the gun. You got to get out. Bring your hands up. I said, fuck these guys. So I take my shirt off. I throw my shirt off. Take my shoes off. Throw my shirt off, right? Take my pants off. I come out in my underwear. I said, because these guys think I got a gun. I said, no fucking gun, right? They arrest me. And so the paper, it says that in the paper, right? So now they take me to West Warwick into the cell, right? So I'm into the cell, right? Now, Sid's wife now knows that he's been cheating. So now he's out, right? And he calls her up, right? And Lila, he doesn't want to have anything to do with her. So now she's going to come down. Now, what is she going to do? He's out. I'm in jail. I'll get locked up for the night. So the chief calls me up. So we go upstairs to the chief, right? So we're sitting over there, and the lawyer, Charlie, comes in. And Charlie said, I can let this go away. This can all go away. And the chief said, what you got to do is you got to just let it go. The guy took off. Your wife doesn't love you. She loves him. You guys had a problem. It is a BB gun. We get some of these charges worked down. And he said, you got to, my suggestion is you move out of West Warwick, right? So I said to him, I got a telephone. I can make a telephone call. He said, your lawyer's here. I said, but I want to make another call. Gives me the phone. Charlie doesn't know what I want to do. I get the operator, 0 at the time. You dial the operator. Hooked me up with the FBI. He comes right over in this big fat slob. Boom. Hangs the phone up. So I said, I got you on a tape. I said, the tape said Sid was delivering 1 load of gravel for the sewer line, and you guys were signing 4 slips. 1 for you, 1 for the council guy, president, and 1 for your company, and you would pocket the other one. So they were selling fill to the town of West Warwick. The town of West Warwick was buying fill for a federal project for sewer line, and they were signing the slips, 4 slips. So he would deliver 1 load, but he would get 4. He would give 1 to, and he would pay him off, right? And I had it on a tape. I got it on a tape. That was the end of it, right? So now I go home. Lila comes home. She's sorry. She's crying. It shouldn't have happened. Sits back with his wife. So now I'm sitting. I really loved her, right? And I call Alan Willoughby up, and he goes, you guys, I'll come over and see you, or whatever you want to do. So make a long story short, I decided that I would want to stay with her and that her and I went to Hawaii. We went to Hawaii, right? And we went, this probably happened in June. I went to Hawaii in July, right? And she asked me about the tape, and I would ask her a little bit about what was going on. I would ask her what's going on. She was not ready to tell me the whole story. Neither did I want to push her for the whole story because I'm so happy I'm back with her again, right? What about the tape? She wanted to know what about the tape. I said, when I get back home, I'll give you the tape. I don't give a shit about it, right? She must have thought I was stupid. I made a copy of the tape, right? That's all I did, right? And I gave her the tape. I still had I got the original tape. So it was August 9th. It was my son's birthday. She was down. She went down to pick up the birthday cake, and Sid sees her car there, and he comes over to her, and they start talking. She thought he was terrible for leaving her and all of this, so they worked it out, and now they're going to get back together again. I don't know this. So I thought everything was good. I got a good relationship, and I'm trying to put everything in the past and go to the jobs, and the guys know that I had a gun, I had a fight. They know this, the guys know that. What am I going to do? I'm not going to hide it, right?
How difficult was that for you?
That wasn't difficult. That wasn't as difficult as what happened after. It was more difficult, right? It was like being in the iron lung again. That's every time I get in trouble, I said I was in the iron lung. It's like being in the iron lung again. You go back to those same feelings. So now I bought her this dog. She wanted another dog, so she had 2 dogs. I bought her this Alaskan Husky, right? So I'm going to go open the door and take the Alaskan Husky out. Here's this fucking giant, big guy. It's a white collar, flip over here, all down here, all this jewelry hanging out, and all of this, right? And he comes over. So, can I help you? He goes, yeah, I'm here to make sure that no harm comes to Sid or to Lila. I said, what? He said, I'm here to make sure no harm comes to Sid or Lila. I already dropped my kids off to my mother-in-law, Lila did, because we were going to go out that night. Here she comes walking out with a friggin' suitcase. Who's out there to pick her up was Sid. That's what I felt. That was it. I was too hurt to cry. So, and then this big Stromalone's over there, right? So, anyways, now I'm going to call Doc Willoughby or Val Willoughby. We're going to go over, have an emergency session, right? Smoke a few butts, right? He's smoking, I'm smoking, right? All worked up. So now I know that the lawyer was in cahoots with them because he knew them. He was trying to get me back out of there. Tape. So I go to the tennis court, and I go to play tennis, and all of a sudden I see him and her at the tennis court, right? And I had to leave, but I saw his friggin' leather jacket hanging up. And there was a pair of scissors over there by the desk. I got the scissors. I cut his leather jacket all up, right? I left, right? Sure enough, here comes Johnny Shags is his name. Johnny Shags comes into my office with another guy. He goes, what happened with the leather jacket? He's carrying the jacket. He says, he's carrying the jacket. He says, you're going to pay him for it. He said, then you're going to pay me to come down here to pick it up, right? Now, needless to say, I could tell you I had a waist about this size. I had muscles. I was a foundation business. I was big, So I told him, get the fuck out of my office. I said, you get out of here right now. Get out of this fucking office, you piece of shit, right? And I said, I ain't paying for no fucking jacket, and I ain't paying you for nothing. So now I go to the Golden Land. That's a restaurant that we used to always go there. There she is, sitting at the bar with him, and I walk in. I didn't see their cars, so I got to walk out. Here comes Johnny Shags. He goes, you got a minute? I got to talk to you. We go in the men's room. He goes, you got to pay him for the jacket. You got to pay me for my time. I come, boom. He was a big guy. I must have hit him. We have a fight, right? Now I'm dragging him. I got him down on the ground. I didn't realize I thought he was going to beat the shit out of me. Trying to flush his head in a urinal. This is a true story. I got him in a urinal, right? So now I got him in the friggin' urinal. Now everybody comes. It's over, right? We got to go, right? So now my office comes in. She goes, "There's a guy in the front over here. Said he went to school with you." I said, "Yeah." And I knew who it was. Right? So he walks in, he goes, "My father wants to see you." I said, "All right." So I go up to Federal Hill and see his father. Father is supposedly runs mafia, was the gang. I would see him. So I talk to him, and I tell him what my story is. And Junior's there. We're talking to him. He goes, "Look, there's 5 types of guys in prison, Jerry." Right? And he goes, "There's the wise guys. You're not one. There's you're not one. There's you're not one. There's the junkies. You're not one." He said, "Then there's the suckers." He said to us, "You don't go to prison for a broad, right?" He goes, "I got business down in West Warwick. You need to stay out of it. No harm will come to you. No harm will come to you." Okay? I leave. In my office, in comes Detective for Rhode Island State Police. He said, "What were you doing up the Federal Hill?" He said, what were you doing up the Federal Hill?" He said, "We have the place under surveillance." He wants to know what the frick's going on. Oh. Right? So, all right, big, tall guy. I got a picture of me and him in there, right? We ended up becoming friends, right? So I said, "It's personal." No, blah, 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 blah. Just trying to find out, are you okay? Are you in trouble? They're probably trying to figure out if they're trying to put the arm on me for money or something like that. But it was my mind. This is what happened. And the father gave me the best advice, right? When I'm going to go to prison for her who doesn't love me and who loves the other guy. So we talk. About 2 days later, I go play racquetball. It's a good racquetball player. So they're all talking over there. Who do I draw at the glass court? We go in there. Big, tall, good-looking guy, right? He's serving first. Boom, he hits me in the back. Hits me right in the back. Son of a bitch. Now he's up there. Now I'm serving. Boom, I hit him right in the back. Who could give a shit? We went to war. Boom, 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 boom. It was at the glass court. We didn't finish. We didn't finish until it was midnight. And people still talk about it. I beat them by 1 point, and I never played racquetball again. So now I pick up the paper, and it says 6 shots fired at the small town hoodlum's house, right? Johnny Shags. 6 bullets went in the front door. Boom, 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 boom. I don't own a gun. I own that BB gun. I threw it off. The cops have it. I didn't do it. So if my wife tells you, Louie and I got to be friends later after because of the racquetball and this and everything else. And my nickname to him is Zeke. And he'll always say, "Zeke, did you do it? Zeke, did you do it?" So, that's what Louie will say to me. They thought I did. I never did it. So the guy never bothered me after that either. So whoever did it did me a favor. Right? So now I'm living in the Royal Crest Apartments. She's living in the house. The kids are staying in the house. They're only 3 and 4 years old. Kids are in the house, right? So I got my friend Doug Berry. He's the buildings official in Warwick right now. He was in my office. He was one of my office guys. I put him in a car with me. I said, "Doug, we got to go follow them." So I try to get information. So I followed. They go to a PC basketball game around Route 95, right? He's in a car with me. And they got stopped. It was traffic. Couldn't wait anymore. I just couldn't wait. I had to go over there, punch this guy. Open the door. Boom, I hit him. She sprays me with mice, right? Cops come. Friggin' cops come, right? Cops come, pick us up both. I go to the station, right? So I go to the station. He's handcuffed. I'm handcuffed. We go upstairs. Put us in a room. Put us in another room. They had us in the same. So they had me in one cell. I had him in another cell. He was there with a bunch of guys. I was telling those guys, he's no fucking good, blah, blah, blah. They were giving him a tough time. I had to take him out of the cell. He was scared shit. He had no balls. This guy had 0 balls, no balls. My wife had the balls, not him. So they take me. Who comes in? Charlie Cantera. Charlie walks in. He goes, "What the fuck are you do it. He goes, you got to go upstairs. He said, you got to go upstairs. I said, I just want to hit him, Charlie. Jerry, I told you, you're going to go to jail. Don't do this stuff. He goes, I'm going to take you guys upstairs. He's going to go into one room. You're going to go in another room. Probably guy's going to get a raid. We don't know what we're going to do yet. He said, but I can tell you, he'll be walking right behind you. You get it? He'll be walking right behind me. He gave me the wink. So as we're walking up the stairs, I know he's right behind me. He's cuffed, I'm cuffed. I turn around with a kick. Boom! I give him a kick. I got this at the police station, right? That was the best relief that I ever had. I felt so friggin' good on that, right? If the boys could see me now, right? That's what I was thinking about. So, anyways, while I was in jail, I called my mother. My mother called the judge, Paolino, who she worked for. She said, Jerry's got a domestic, his partner. This guy used to be in business with he got a domestic. So he sends me down. He said, I'll send you down my nephew, John Verone. He's a lawyer. John's still living. He's in South Carolina. He's a good golfer. He's probably about 88 years old now. Great golfer. So he comes in, he gets me out, and we talk a little bit. And he goes, I'm picking you up. And he said, I'm going to pick your kids up. We're going to go up to my ski place in New Hampshire. I'll pick you up. So she's with him. I grab the kids. We go up to the ski place. So he's telling me there's a blue law on the books. They call it alienation of affection. Alienation of affection. He said, I could solve your problems. You don't want to hit him. He goes, you want to take money out of his pocketbook. You could sue him. So he said, you're going to sue him under alienation of affection, and I'll represent you. So I go see the psychologist, Al Willoughby. I said, Al, what do you think? He said, I told you, the smartest guy that I've ever worked with. He said, you don't need to be physical. Sue him. So if that's what you need to do, go ahead and do it. So he said, go ahead and do it. So we sued him for alienation of affection. So John Verone, great guy. His son was a fire chief here in Exeter, and he was with the fire department. He goes around the country preaching. His father was a superhuman being, and he helped me. So we sued him for alienation of affection, and John Verone is going over the case, going over the case, everything else. Now we're going to go to court. Now we're going to be in court on Monday. Friday, I go to his office. He said, I'm falling apart. I can't do it. I get too emotionally attached. I cannot do this. I cannot try this case on Monday. I'm going to ask for a continuance. I said, John, what do you want to do that for? I'm too emotionally attached. I'm not ready. You've got to understand, for a trial, you got to get ready. You got to ask the questions. You got to have a game plan. I'm not ready. Every time you hurt, I hurt, right? So if she hurts you, I hurt. Me and you are too close. So he said, I got to get another lawyer. I said, there's a lawyer at the tennis court. I played tennis against. His name's John Lynch, right? He goes, I know John. He goes, he was politically connected. He said, but he's a good lawyer. I said, let me talk to him. So I go in, see John on a Saturday morning. This is an absolute true story. His daughter is on the Rhode Island Supreme Court. She's a justice. So she could verify this, and this is all verifiable. So I go in to see John. I tell him my story, right? And John says to me, he goes, I never did like Sid. He said he was a pretty boy. He said, you're a worker. You used to come in here with George Peasy. He owns Consolidated Ready Mix. Play tennis. You guys would come in with dirty clothes on. He said, you have all dirt on you. You guys would shower up and go out and play tennis. He was a pretty boy. He goes, I'll take the case. And I said, we got to go to court Monday. Can you go for a continuance? Nope. I'm ready to go. He says, come in here tomorrow. He said, but if you come tomorrow, come with your sneakers and your running shoes. Sunday I show up. Here he is running. Here I am running with him. Tell him the story. We're running. Calls John Verone up. They have a conversation. Boom. We go to court. That's just the way it happened. We go to court, right? And they empower the jury, right? And John says to me, Jerry, he said, when Joe McGair goes into the bedroom, he said, just go in there. He said, just don't say nothing. Just get him a little aggravated. He said, I get that Irish temper, him pissed off. He said, right? So I go in, Joe McGair, he's still living, that little son of a bitch. He's a little guy, right? So I would go in there. I'm in one stall taking a piss. He's in the next stall taking a piss, right? So I go to him. I said, how's it feel to be a little man? You can't talk to me. Right? He goes out there. He's all riled up. John starts the case. John says, this is a case about the farmer that went out in the farm. He said he was farming, and there was a snake laying out there. And he said it was cold. It was going to get down to sub-degree weather. And the snake is just barely crawling, probably just passed out. The farmer took the snake, put it under his jacket, walked him down into the house. He said he had the snake there. He said when they went into the house, it thawed out, and the snake came back together. He said, then the snake bit him. And that's Sid Robinson, the snake. So if you see sometimes when I'm posted against these people, I'm fighting when I call them snakes. So anyways, needless to say, we win the case. We win $100,000. We get $100,000, right? And back then, that would be the equivalent to $1 million today. You're talking 1977, get $100,000.
Right.
That's like $1 million bucks.
Yeah.
So then all these TV shows and everybody else is calling and everything else. So John calls me up, John Lynch. He goes, Phil Donahue was like he was that guy.
He was it, number one.
He said, Phil Donahue called, they want you to come on the show. I said, who the fuck is Phil Donahue? I don't know, I'm a worker, right? So he says to me, he goes, you should go on the Donahue show. He said, you could get even with Sid. Oh, even with Sid, I like that idea. So now we go, they fly us out, have a white limousine pick us up. There's all grapes in there. I mean, we're eating the grapes, right? We're out there, right? So, we go on the show.
Jerry Zarrella, a West Warwick resident who lost his wife when his wife ran away with his best friend. So Zarrella sued his best friend. This was a first-of-its-kind lawsuit, the first in the nation. November 12th, 1979, this first-of-its-kind-in-the-nation lawsuit got national publicity on The Donahue Show.
Why didn't you say to heck with it, good riddance?
There were some signals about 6 months before we went into this, and what I did was I discussed it with my best friend. He was the guy that was giving the signals.
Zarrella and his former best friend, Sidney Robinson, were in related businesses, which made the situation all the more ironic and humorous to the national audience.
I put up concrete foundations for houses.
How about the other fella?
He builds on top of the foundations.
You start him, he finishes him, huh?
Only in Rhode Island. Eventually, Zarrella won the lawsuit.
Was one of the highest ratings he ever got. Right? And at the end of the show, he puts his arm around me. I just showed your son one of the clips there. He goes, Jerry, somewhere there's a story here. There's a book. I got my daughter's got all the letters. I mean, this is, and all the headlines and all the papers. I got hundreds of letters. I'll marry you. I'll take care of your kids. I'll do this. I'll do that. Then I got people chasing me to write the book. So now we got somebody from Hollywood that wanted to come out. I guess John was talking to him. Deal was $300,000. We're going to do a movie. John Verone was doing it. So I'm all set. I'm going to go out. We're going to fly out. We're going to fly out. We're going to meet him. Then John Lynch says to me, look, I got 10 kids. He said, you got 2. He goes, do you really want to do this to your kids? He said, it's dramatic. You're talking about their mother. I said, no, I'm not going to make her look bad. It's him, you know? So anyways, he said, you have no say in it. When they do the movie, they do the movie, right? So I decided not to do it. So I called John Verone up. John, how you doing? He goes, oh, I went out and bought this little Honda car, right? So happy. I said, John, I decided you're going to do it. What are you talking about? He says to me, I never forget, he goes, I always get to the altar, but I never get married. Right? So that was John. If you contact him, he'll back this all up, right? So the story gets funny. Then we go on the Today Show. I go on the Today Show, right? So prior to going on the Today Show, if you could see, I talk with my hands. I talk with my hands back and forth. John's got a coffee there, John Lynch. But he was the best. John was the absolute best. So John tells me, he goes, if they do the story, I want Russ Francis to pay my part. Russ Francis was a tight end for the New England Patriots, Russ Francis, right? So we're just having a bunch of last bullshit, and this guy talks, right? So they come in, they said, you're going to be on the next segment. We're going to walk you out. Boom, I hit the coffee cup that John's drinking, and it looked like he peed his pants. It's all over. It's coffee, it's all over. So John, doesn't miss a thing. He said, look, sit me at the table and shoot me from here up. He goes, I don't want anybody back home thinking I peed my pants. So we go on a Today Show. Guess who did the Today Show? Phil Donahue had a segment on the Today Show. You could get all of this. So we did the Today Show. So then I did 21 TV shows. They flew around to all these different TV shows. In that month of December, I just kept going and all this stuff. We did the show, right? John Lynch calls me. He said, Alan Dershowitz called. Yes, they want you to come talk to a postgraduate class, what it means to be a witness. I said, John, I think I should go. He said, go, Jerry, yeah? So I talked to Alan Willoughby, this, psychiatrist. He goes, go, Jerry. He goes, they're being entertaining. He said, they'll get a kick out of you. So John Lynch says to me, I'm getting all the notoriety. He was a great guy. John is a great guy. God love him, right? He passed away. I cried like a baby at his funeral because we had such a good relationship, right? So he said, look, I've been getting all the notoriety. He's in the newspaper, front page of the journal, everything else. Take John Ferrone. So me and John go up, Alan Dershowitz, to a postgraduate class. So I'm at Harvard. So I got my granddaughter right now. She's at Harvard. She's got a full scholarship at Harvard. First year, full scholarship. She finished number 5 at Boston College, and she's at Harvard. So everybody in the family is so proud. Her name is Lila, too. She's beautiful. Everybody said, Lila went to Harvard. My son, Michael, he doesn't like to brag. He's a lawyer. She doesn't like to brag. Well, low-key, So I said to Lila, Lila, you're not the first one in the family to go to Harvard.
I knew that was coming.
I've been to Harvard, right? And she starts to laugh. She'll follow me on Facebook. But I also told your son I went to Yale. Now, this is a funny story. So I'm a severe dyslexic. Severe. I mean, can't spell, can't write. When I was in school, I used to just think I was stupid, right? Talk about school. I used to get in trouble all the time because I didn't do homework. I didn't do nothing. I'd get bored. I'd be throwing spitballs and everything else. So at Bishop Hendricken, if you got trouble during the day, they give you a misdemeanor. So a misdemeanor says you stayed after class and you swept the hallways and you swept off the men's room, emptied the trash. If you really got in trouble, you got a misconduct. That means you came on a Saturday and you came for 3 hours, right? Oh. I had so much time that I thought I was going to be a janitor. I was doing applause. I was coming Saturday after school, everything else. I said, I'm going to be a friggin' janitor. On here, if you go to my Facebook, they asked me to come back to Bishop Hendricken and talk to them. And I said to them, well, what do people talk about? They invite all the lawyers, they invite the doctors, they invite the psychiatrists, they invite the psychologists, they invite car dealerships, they invite all successful people. And they talk about the business and they talk about the industry. They talk to these young kids about making money and, what you got to do. You got to get good marks. They give them all the fucking bullshit in the world.
Right.
My wife said, you going? I said, yeah. She goes, what are you going to talk about? I said, what they got to learn. I'm going to talk about life. And I went to them and I talked about coming to school and everything else. And I started off by this. They don't have the brothers there anymore. I said, any of you people know what this is? No one knows. I said, this is the rosary beads from Brother Francois. He would be at the front door swinging his rosary beads, right? Swinging the rosary beads. I said, and I'm telling him about that. And I said, and a football field that you got here today was donated by Mrs. Petriaka. She donated the football field. And I said, I played football. And Junior, who I used to hitchhike every day, used to pick me up. Great guy. I love Junior. Junior was the majorette, right? So, and this is what we had at Bishop Hendricken. These kids didn't know that. These kids are over there. They didn't know that. And, and you'll see that I just talked to them about that, right? And then I talked to him about, how we used to have to go to the chapel and everything was, when the bell rang, you were quiet. When you walked in the hallway, you didn't talk to the next guy. You just walked to your next room. So I said to him, one time I was late, I'm walking to the next room, and I cut in line because I know I'm going to be late. And a brother grabbed me by the ear, popped me, boom. Back then they would hit you, pop me, right? He said, Zarrella, you got to learn manners. You got to learn some manners. You get in the back of the line. Back of the line, right? So, because I was always in trouble, he put me in the front desk, close, right up next to the board, right? So he says to me, he goes, he's on the board, and this is the way he would talk to you. It would be like, if you ever watch Como and or Bill O'Reilly will never say to Como by his first name. He calls him Como. So the brother says to me, Zarrella, erase the board. I said, you got to say please, because he told me I got to have manners, right? Got popped again. I mean, that was a big story over there, right? So I tell these kids how it was. It was a tough-ass school. And we were not the smartest people in the state of Rhode Island. We were all rejects from LaSalle. We all applied to LaSalle. We couldn't get in. So we went to Bishop Hendricken. The school just opened up. Great school. Great people came out of there. But I wanted these kids to know what it was when we went to school over there. You know what I mean? So this is the stuff that I was telling these kids about, how they got the football field, who our first All-Staters were. Al Campbell was our first All-Stater in track. He's still living. He's a great guy. Jackie Capuano was an All-Stater. He was a fullback. He owns a car wash down here on Ball Hill Road. Our quarterback went on to be quarterback for URI. So this was all the things these kids want to learn, how it was, how it was, the rules and the regulations and the discipline. It was a great school. But anyway, so when I went there to talk to them, and that's on the Facebook, you can look at that. So my wife knew I was going to do that because that's the way I am, you know what I mean? So getting back to Yale. So my kids go to school at Rocky Hill. So they tell me that my daughter is dyslexic and my son Michael is dyslexic. So Michael is a lawyer today, great lawyer. His daughter's full scholarship to Harvard, my granddaughter, right? So they figure Michael's from my other wife, and Sarah and Jerry are from my wife, Debbi. Well, Debbie's the smartest thing you ever want to see. I mean, she's so freaking smart, and so she's not dyslexic. She reads a lot. She figures a lot. She does what very smart people do, right? So they're going to test me. So they test me. This Nancy Frankenberg tested me, and she comes in, 5th grade, 8 months, 6th grade, 2 months, spelling and reading. I still can't spell. Every day I'm asking people, how do you spell this? How do you do that? I get this phone. I talk into the phone. I swear to God, it puts all different words because I don't pronounce my words that good. I'm a slang talker. I got my own form of English, right? Because I never studied English in school, right? So anyways, up to Yale University go. They got me on a board at Yale University, right? And by that time, I was already a councilman in West Warwick. I already started my political career in West Warwick. I went into the excavating business myself. My brother-in-law at the point, I put up the money. We went in the excavation. So I had probably 50 people working for me. And I always had a good assistant. The assistant I got right now, Tina, she is the absolute wonderful
She seems it.
She's the best. Tina is the best. People know how. I'm the type of guy, if you know my trigger point and you push it, you're going to get machine gunned, right? She never pushes it. She's just a wonderful person. But I've always was able to surround myself with people like that. So one of the girls there that I had, she said, what helps you, Jerry? I said, what will help me if it's highlighted? And then Anna Quatra, she was the town clerk. She was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful woman in West Warwick. So when she would give me my package, I would say, Anna, will you do me a favor? She goes, I said, well, you underline stuff. She goes, yeah. She said, but I got to tell them, I don't want you reading stuff into the record. She said, because you say stuff that ain't there. And this is a bond issue. We got to tell the council president. My council president, his name was Wapo. You got to love Wapo. You got to love these guys. Wapo, right? So.
Did you have anyone named Bob as a friend?
If it was Bob, we'd give him a friggin' nickname. Right? So they highlighted everything. So I knew what I was doing because it would highlight. I go immediately to the highlight. If you give me like electric bills and gas bills, for the houses and stuff, it's to me, it's like a panic. I mean, that's the worst thing. What house is this for? So if you highlight it, I can see electric bill, $80, Pequot Avenue, Smith Street, whatever it is. So the highlighter. So I'm telling these people out there, now I know these women are out there and they got kids just like me. And these kids are going to be out, and they're probably saying to themselves, my kid will never be a doctor. My kid will never be a lawyer. My kid will never be a judge. Anything that requires reading and stuff and preparation, they're never going to be that. And I know they're out there, but I got to give them some type of hope. You know what I mean? So they're on the thing. I'm talking. I'm going back and forth. I told them I used to just think I was stupid. I didn't realize about dyslexia. Right? One woman stands up. She said to me, "Mr. Zarrella, you're a councilman. You own your own business. You have a lot of employees coming. I love that thing about the highlighter." She said, "But I got to ask you something. How do you feel sitting up there with all these educated people that wrote books and that educate people on that and everything else?" I'm pretty quick on my feet. So I turned around and I said, "I feel like a thermometer. There's so many degrees up here." So anyways, I've been to Harvard and I've been to Yale. So, and I've been to Bishop Hendricken, and I dropped out of Bryant College. So when people start busting my balls, I say, put that in your pipe and smoke it. I mean, I've been to Harvard and Yale. Do you have the balls to go there? Would you have the guts to go there in front of these lawyers? Would you have the guts to go in front of these moms that kids are dyslexic? Would you have the guts? So leave me alone, because that's what I did, So I try to let people know, I don't care what your handicap was. I couldn't walk. I was in an iron lung. I had a needle in my back. I beat all that stuff. I lived in the projects. I beat all that stuff. If you walk in my office right now, there's a sign that says 646 Prairie Avenue, apartment 6D. That was the projects. That was brick and mortar. The floors were cement. Never had rug in your bedroom. Never had rug in your bathroom. It was just cement. So when I come over here and I see what I got over here, I say, not bad. You know what I mean? Not bad. I mean, so my message to people is, you can't quit, because if you quit, you're not going to get anywhere. So if you're going to be a baseball player and you quit, you're not going to make the World Series. You're going to be a football player and you quit, you're not going to make it, right? If you're in an iron lung and you quit, you're going to stay in an iron lung, right? So you got to just get in there. But I believe in God too. I pray a lot. I pray a lot. I believe in, I went to the Catholic school. All those rules and regulations. You eat meat on a Friday, it's a sin. All those things. Yeah, how many times I had a hamburger on a Friday? I mean, so the things change. The things change again, right? But I didn't tell you how I got my kids. So how I got my kids. Mike's 54, Paul's 53. I hate to say this part of it because I don't want them to feel bad, but their mother left them at the Kent County Courthouse. The judge told them that she could not live with Sid, but the kids were there. She just decided to do that. So I ended up with my boys. So I raised my boys. They loved their mother. As they got older, their mother and them had a better relationship than I did with them. But they still slept in my house, ate at my house. I paid all the bills. I did what a father was supposed to do, right? And and a mother's affection is different than a father's affection. A father's affection is nowhere near a mother's affection. A mother's loving, caring. A father is, I ain't going to raise this kid to be an idiot. He's going to do this, he's going to do that. It's a whole different thing. So affection for father and mother are different. So, but I raised my sons, and then when I married Debbi, I had 2 more kids. So anyways, then I'll tell you my other story, right? So I was a Democrat growing up. I was a Democrat because we're on welfare. It was a Democratic program, right? We're on welfare. It was a Democratic program. And My mother worked for the Democrats. She worked at the courthouse. It was the Democrats. So,
Did you know you were on welfare?
of
when you were
course
a
I
kid?
knew I was on welfare. Yeah.
And how did that make
food
you-
stamps.
Yeah, how did that make you feel?
I'm at 7 years old. What do you know?
Yeah, so
you don't know the difference. You don't know if you're in a Taj Mahal or you're there.
Right.
I mean, at that
No,
point,
that was too-
at that point, you're too young to figure out what life's about, right? But you could go back to it and you look back. If you cut yourself right over here, right now, you cut yourself, hurts like a son of a gun. They sit you up, it hurts. It kills you, it hurts, right? But if you come back 40 years ago and you look at that scar doesn't hurt anymore. But the memory of it is
Still there.
It's still there. The scar's still there. So listen, I'm loaded with scars, but they don't hurt anymore. That's the way I like to say what it is. All the things I did for life scarred me, but those scars don't hurt anymore. But when you got scarred, they hurt like hell. So
Have they motivated you?
I'm a motivated guy. Everything.
By the scars, or do you
by
think?
the scars, I get motivated. Listen, my life has been a journey, and I wouldn't trade any of my days. Like people, when I first got married to Debbi, did I wish I was still married to the first one? Yeah, but as you go, I wouldn't trade a day of my life. I wouldn't trade it. That's it, because if we all took our problems and put them on this table, and then we all said, well, these are our problems. And then somebody said, pick whatever problems you want. I'd probably pick the ones that I got. I ain't going to pick yours or yours because I don't know. You pick those up, So you got to just go with it. So I was telling you I was a Democrat, right? And I just got a call the other night from Senator Reid, United States Senator. He's a friend of mine. And he said to me on the phone, he goes, Jerry, I owe a lot to you. You helped me get my political career going. I mean, this guy's a United States Senator with seniority. He's talking to me at my house over here 4 days ago at night and telling me that. I mean, that's the best compliment someone can ever give me. So when I look back at something like that. I have a friend of mine, Judge Procaccini. He's a Superior Court judge, right? He always will say the same thing to me. I look at him, the status he is, he's so bright, he's so smart, people love him. But he'll come back to me and say, Jerry, you helped me give me my start. That's like somebody saying to me, you hit the lottery, here's $1 million. To get that from those two guys in the same week, this happened last week, to get that, thank you, you helped me. I mean, most people, they wouldn't, I'm a little peon compared to these guys, right? I'm a little peon, right? But they say that, you know what I mean? And I appreciate stuff like that. That goes a long way with me. And so I was telling you, I was a Democrat. So the Democrats went too far left. They went too far left, I'm not one of these abortion people. I'm not one of those abortion people. I'm not one of those crazy gun people. You know what I mean? But I'm about order. I'm about law and order. I think you as an elected official, you need to protect us. And when you start defunding the police, when you start doing all of this stuff, that ain't me. So then here comes a guy that's similar to me, right? He's insulting, he's brash, he's fresh, Donald Trump. So I became a Trump Democrat. I'm a Trump Democrat. That's what I went for Trump. So I ended up being the Trump chairman for the state of Rhode Island. And I've met with now he's the president, met with him a few times. I don't care what people say about him. I like him. Because if I say I don't like him, it's like saying I don't like myself. He's the closest thing to me that I've ever seen in a lot of ways. He is. He's brash. He doesn't give a shit, right? He'll go on, right? He could go on an iron lung. That guy could go on an iron lung. So I liked him. But when I was a Democrat, I brought in Bill Clinton, came to my house in Block Island. He invited Debbi and I to the White House. So I had President Clinton come to my house in Block Island. When I was a Trump guy, I brought Trump in. He came in and he talked at the crossing. So my claim to fame, it's a joke, but like I always bust people's balls. I'm at a Harvard, Yale, and I brought 2 presidents in. You guys see if you can top that. See if you can top that. Top it. See if you can top it, right?
What was it like meeting President Trump?
Regular guy. He shows up. And that was the day that they suspended Tom Brady initially, the four things. He comes walking, and I got pictures of me and him talking over there. So I said, hey, welcome to Rhode Island, blah, 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 blah. I said, you hear what happened to Brady? He goes, yeah, I just got off the plane. He said, they upheld the suspension. I go, yeah. He goes, how's the people out there? I said, they're Brady people. All right, Brady people, write this down. You don't mind, do you? No, he writes this down. He said, Jerry, where you got the press? I said, I got him exactly where you told me, up. He goes, you got him up? I said, yeah, good. He writes the presses up, right? He goes out there. You son of a bitch. He goes out there. He goes, I just want you to know, leave Tom Brady alone. That crowd went crazy, right?
First of all, let's start by saying, leave Tom Brady alone. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. He's a great guy. It's enough. It's enough.
Then he goes, there's the worst people around. He points at press. All the friggin' lights go off. Boom, 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 boom. All the lights go off, right? And he's right about that. There are some things that I don't totally agree with him. And like, I love Bill Clinton. I thought he was a great president, you know? And there are things that I don't truly agree with him. But you got to look at where they came from. So, you know, see, this is what people don't look at because they don't understand this. They don't understand this. Where did he come from? He came from money. But where else did he came from? He came from New York City. Where else? What happens in New York City? Everybody knows the mob runs the construction thing in New York City. They run it. Everybody knows that. So for him to come up, he had to deal with that, right? People say, well, his father gave him the money. Bullshit. His father gave him a couple of $1 million. He built it himself, right? They don't look at it like that. They look at him when he insults women. They look at him when he insults his competition. Yeah, they look at him like that. To me, that's just his background. You got a New York real estate person running for governor. You don't have a Harvard doctor coming in that's a heart specialist. They talk different. So when he goes on the stage, he talks construction talk. So I get it. Bill Clinton, everybody says he cheated on his wife, right? My ex-wife cheated on me, right? Do I hold that against him? No, I think he did. I think he did good when he came here. One of the funniest things that happened is we got invited to a Christmas party at the White House. So we go to the White House, and I went with Joe Palino, who's in town here, and Joe's a good friend of mine. So we go, Joe, and we go with Ernie Baptista. Ernie, God rest his soul, he passed away. He's a fundraiser, so we go there. So when I walk in there, we're at the party. When you walk in there, there's another bathroom aside, and it's Marine standing by there. I said, can I use that bathroom there? And he just gave me a nod. He didn't say nothing, just gave me a nod. So I go in there, and there's these beautiful, beautiful napkins, right, after you wash your hand. But they're not cloth, but they're a paper that I never had, right? And they're beautiful. So I put a couple in my sport jacket. I mean, they got the White House symbol on there, right? So I come out, so I see Joe. I said, Joe, I got these things. He goes, Jerry, are you crazy? So Ernie said, what do you got there? I said, look at these. Ernie goes, what bathroom? I said, you went in there. So Ernie goes in there. And he comes out, right? He comes out looking like Tom Jones. You remember Tom Jones? I think he used to stuff his crotch. Yeah. He's got them all in his crotch. So as we get there, we start talking to Tipper Gore. I'm talking to Tipper Gore over there. So Tipper Gore says to me, why don't you come to our party? We're having a party, Christmas party. They have like 2 parties a night there. So a couple of days later, we go to Al Gore's house.
Al Gore was
the vice
president. Do you know?
Vice president. Good guy, great guy. I like him. I like Tipper. So we go there. Now, I don't drink, but that night I was there. I was with Joe and Ernie, and we had a couple of we had a couple drinking the wine there. But what happened, we showed up, they had to call the party off because Bill Clinton called an emergency meeting of the cabinet. And that's when they sent the 3 studs over to Iraq because they threatened to kill Bush 1.
Right.
And he sent them over there, right? And so we're drinking there. So Tipper Gore says to me, Al's going to run for president. What do you think? We're talking back and forth. And I don't separate women talk from men talk. I mean, whether your wife was sitting here, I'd say the same thing. That's not me, And I don't like phonies. I'm not a phony. I'll never be a phony, and I'll never like a phony. And if I think you're a phony, I don't even want to do business with you. I don't do business with phonies, right? So I said, well, it's kind of a little bit too Yale for me, too preppy, too Ivy League. I said, he needs to get blue-collar work. Yeah, you know what? Al surrounds himself with people that tell him what he wants to hear. I'm going to mention that to him. Matter of fact, here he comes. All of a sudden, all these Secret Service guys come in. Here comes Al. Now we're talking to him. Al, you're going to listen to what Jerry has to say. How do I say this to the Vice President of the United States? But we got talking, just like we're...
Do you want water, by the way?
Nah. So we just warm up a little bit. We're talking, right? And I tell him, so he goes to me, he goes, when I come to Rhode Island, my office will be calling you. I want you to come, and I'll be coming to Rhode Island. You'll be on the backstage. So I get a call from his office. Al Gore's coming to Rhode Island probably about 2 months later, a month, whatever it was. And they want to sit us up at the stage behind him. So they're pretty good when you sit on the stage. Like Trump people would never have an elected person. If you were elected councilman, mayor, you're not allowed to sit behind him on his back when he's talking. He didn't want politicians behind him. He wanted people, right? So they got 2 seats there. Jack Reed's there, right? And, I'm supposed to meet with Al Gore privately, right? And I'm sitting there. My wife ain't coming. Where the hell is she, right? She ain't coming, right? So I finally got to get over to him. I said, something happened, and I can't get her on the cell phone or anything else. So they put somebody else over there. So we sit there. Everybody leaves. I talk to Al Gore, I talk to everybody. They leave. They don't stick around long after they speak and screw, right? Here comes my wife. I said, Debbi, where the hell were you? We miss everything. Oh, I stopped at Petswell. I adopted a cat. I said, you adopted a freaking cat? Here we have, right? That's a true story. We're salted and urine people. That's all we give a shit about. We're regular people. She adopted a freaking cat. Yes, true story. True story. So when I was chairman of the party over here, I was chairman of the party here in East Greenwich, Democratic chairman. So when I got to be the chairman, I was invited by Vinnie Madalena. Keep this in front of you. Invited by Vinnie Madalena.
You can move it wherever you want.
So I was invited by Vinnie Madalena. His daughter, I just saw her the other day. He passed away, but he was another great guy. Too many people that I know passing away, So, and there was only 2 people at the meeting. 2 people. Me, him, and another guy. This is the Democratic Party. It was controlled by the Republicans, East Greenwich, right? So I decided I want to get involved. I'm a councilman who came from West Warwick, And when I left West Warwick, if you go into my office, the paper was a Republican. I was a Democrat. The headlines in the paper is, this town won't be the same without Jerry. There was never a dull day without Jerry. I'll show it to you. It's on here. It's the headlines in my office. I save these things, right? So anyways, I decided to build this party up. So I'm sitting there and I'm saying, how do I build this party up so I could win seats and that I could do this? So I come up with a plan. If you're a politician, you don't have a plan, you don't belong being a politician. So I have a plan. So my plan is to load it up with smart people, to load it up with professional people, to load it up with Italians, and to load it up with lawyers. So I figure every lawyer wants to know a politician, right? And Italians, because I'm a full-blooded Italian, I know once we make a commitment, once we give you our heart, our soul comes right with it, right? So I loaded up with all these people, right? So then I said, how do I get people interested to come to every meeting? Well, I'm entertaining it a little bit, I know that, but they'll come just sometimes for me, but I always had a guest speaker come, right? Guest speaker. So now I'm saying, who's going to be the guest speaker? So we're all there, the judge, all those guys. I said, I'm going to call Governor DePreet's office. He'll never show up. He's a Republican. So I called Governor DePreet's office. I said, I'm the chairman of the Democratic Party. I would like to have the governor come down and speak, even though he's a Republican. He represents all the state. Would he come down and speak to us? Son of a bitch, he shows up, right? Then the Republicans went crazy. Now, don't forget, they own every office in here. Why is he coming down to a Democratic? He turns around at them and says, because I was invited. You guys haven't invited me. So I give the governor credit. We invited Joe Palin, who was the mayor. We had Frank Flaherty, who was the mayor of Warwick, who was on the Supreme Court. So we invited all these guest speakers, right? So now Ronald Reagan is running against Walter Mondale, vice president. He was vice president Mondale, right? Under Carter. He's running against Ronald Reagan. Tough race. Everybody figures Ronald Reagan's going to get his ass kicked.
I won't make your youth and inexperience a subject matter of this.
So he loses. Now he loses, right? So he lost in November. Now we're having this fundraiser that we're trying to raise money for the party. And we're having a fundraiser in April. So now I know I got too many Italians. I know I got too many lawyers. So now I got to branch out and start inviting women. So this one woman comes over. She's got her farmer jeans on, everything else. She joined the party. She said she was good. Like, we would discuss what we need to do. So we're saying, well, who should we invite? And so she raised her hand. She goes, what meeting do you want? I said, well, it would be the meeting we're going to have in April. She said, I think I could get my brother-in-law. So I'm saying to myself, who the frig is her brother-in-law? I mean, she's going to show up with a pitchfork and start throwing hay. So I call her. She goes, oh, Walter Mondale. I said, the vice president of the United States who just ran against Ronald Reagan is your brother-in-law? Yeah. I said, could you invite him here? Yes. Headlines in the paper. Zarrella invites Walter Mondale comes down here. Every friggin' elected Democrat showed up over there to kiss his ass, right? We had him right here. I had him at the homicide. I had him at the homicide where the fireman's hall was. So I brought him in. Right? People don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it, right? And these guys are regular guys. If you treat them differently than what you would treat a regular person, you're not going to get anywhere with them. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to kiss their ass. I don't want to kiss their ass. I want to be their friends. So let me tell you the difference between the Republicans right now in the state of Rhode Island. I always believe I made my enemies my friends. If you were my opponent, Mike Levac, he's still in here. He used to write all these bad things about me when I was running for council. He ran for council. We both got elected at the same time. I finally get him. Oh, here's the author of all these bad things against me, right? And we became the best of friends. So I always thought that you would make your enemy your friend. Today, these Republicans in the state of Rhode Island, they make their friends their enemies. They backstab them. You can't do that. You can't do that. So, like I've been invited, I've been around these people. If I want to put on the suit, bring out my friggin' Rolex and put on my thing, I can go do that. I've been there, done that. That doesn't mean nothing to me. What means more to me is I want to look them in the eye. I want to take their pulse. I want to see where they come from. That means a lot to me, I did something in Block Island where the woman, she was there, Christopher Walken's wife, she did all the casting for The Sopranos, right? So there was an issue of that. I had to help them out when I was on CRMC. They invited me to go to New York for a casting role for the Sopranos, right? So a lot of good things have happened to me, and I meet a lot of good people. You know what I mean? So, you want to talk about grass, my green grass next door, the house, or do you want me to continue telling you some stories because I could talk all night if you want.
So we have a couple questions, though.
Go ahead.
I have 29 things to ask you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll just ask the one. You hear so many times, you got to just be yourself. And when you're yourself and not fake, all these good things come to you because you're in your truth. You're in your heart. You're not in your head. And just sitting here and listening to all the stories.
Oh,
clearly you fit that category.
I could look. There was a big thing over here, the Warwick musical. Any Rhode Island knows where the Warwick musical is. It's right up over here where Lowe's is, and it was a theater in the round.
Right.
Google, and people would come in. Buster Barnoff owned the Warwick musical, right? And Buster would say to me, Jerry, and his son's still around. Buster would say, do you want to go to the Gold Land tonight? I'm inviting you out. Liberace's coming. So I would go out with Liberace. Then I would go out with Don Rickles. And we'd go to the top there because these guys just want to eat with Rose. But they don't want to see a stuffed shirt over there. You know what I mean? So we would go.
They want to laugh.
So the best one was, I think it was Debbi Boone. So they got Debbi Boone coming. She wants to go sailing. Would you take her on your boat? I take her on my boat. Friggin' wind drops. Going to call the Coast Guard. Have her come in to go to the Warwick musical. We're late. We're late. But Liberace says to me, he goes, I want to do something nice for Rose Farina. Rose Farina wrote the Golden Land. She's a wonderful woman, the best hostess I ever met. And, she was like my ex-wife and her new husband, Sid, used to go to the musical. And they would go to her restaurant after, and I would go. It's like she was always trying to be peaceful. So he said to me, it's Rose's birthday. He said, can you meet me at the Fontainebleau? Fontainebleau's in Florida, right? Must be to meet him in the Fontainebleau.
Steakhouse.
Right. No, it's a hotel, the Fontainebleau. It's in Florida. So I fly down to the Fontainebleau. He does a show there. I meet him after. He draws a napkin. He draws a piano. And a piano, he wants to put a pool in for Rose. So I put this pool in West Warwick. West Warwick, this pool went in. And so Liberace had this wonderful party. And all these people, limousines, fur coats, whatever they are, all these people coming. I call them the plastic people. I said, that ain't but me. Jerry, you got to meet these people. I could give a shit. I could give a shit. I'd rather go to I'd rather go to a dive restaurant or a dive bar. That's what I like. You know what I mean? Like we go to Palm Beach. I got a place in Palm Beach. I got a friend of mine. He likes to go out to the most expensive restaurants going. He likes to go out and do that. I said, Tom, why don't we just go over here? That's like a 5-star. I mean, this is a 5-star. It's like a 3-star. Who gives a shit about the stars? Let's just go over there. We have fun and laughs, right? So that's the way I've been there. I've done that. There's nothing that I haven't done that I wanted to do. There's nothing I haven't done that I wanted to do. I ran for office in West Warwick 3 times. I got elected. When I left there, they said the town will never be the same without Jerry. I did a good job there. I threw the union out, and I privatized the sewer plant. And a politician that could get on the goddamn mic and say he threw a union out. Show me the guy. I did, right? We threw the sewer plant out because they were robbing from us and stealing from us. I did that. I went to Block Island. I ran for office over there. I show up over there. They put a cartoon about me in the front page of the paper. And there's a cartoon showing me on a moped. Instead of a Superman, I got a Z over here with signs. It's mine because I'm buying stuff over there. Those son of a bitches shut me down that I couldn't get anything. All the houses that I built there, I told President Clinton's sitting there. He said, how'd you get all, no, it was Ted Kennedy. I got a picture of Ted Kennedy, me on my deck here. Ted Kennedy said to me, how'd you get all this stuff here? I said, they shut me down. I said, these island people, he goes, I know, I got the same problem with us, right? The same problem. I said, everything came over in a garbage truck. They would pick up the garbage and they would take it off the island and roll off, dump it at the garbage. And the guy would come back with an empty roll off. I couldn't get anything. I didn't know anybody. I couldn't get any reservations. All the builders over there hated me. So I'd send them over to Mike, the lumber yard, would load them up on a roll-off and bring the lumber to the job. Everything I got, my furniture came over, my refrigerator. I got a picture of my refrigerator on the back of the garbage truck. But that's how I built it, right? So I like a challenge. I don't walk away from a challenge. Those people who say, there's a brick wall, right? All right. So if I can't climb it and I can't go around it, then I got to dismantle it. But I ain't going to make it stop me. I got three things. Dismantle it, walk around it, climb over it. That's it. It ain't going to stop me. So I don't have that. I don't have that give her up type of attitude. So I don't have that. So, and when I meet people, I met some famous people, and Debbi and I flew with the team on Bob Kraft's. I had to pay for that. At a plane for the Patriots to Dallas. I met Mr. Kraft, wonderful guy. He was, gave us all kinds of hats, jackets, everything else there. When I see them, what's going on with the team and everything now, it's like, I just can't believe it. So here's what I do at night. I don't sleep much sometimes. I get up and I get on my phone. You know what I do? I Google favorite quotes from Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells was a coach for the Patriots. Bill Parcells says, "You are what your record is. If you're 0-10, you're 0-10. You're a bum. You're a bad team." But I Google him, and he would never take any shit from these athletes. Those are the guys that I look up to. Bill Parcells, I look up to him. Bill Belichick, I look up to him. Bill Belichick, you think Randy Moss gave him some crap, right? And I was one of the linebackers. I forgot his name, but I met him at Block Island. He told me, I'm sitting in the hot tub. Randy Moss is mad because Belichick is not paying him what he has to pay, and he's complaining. He goes, all of a sudden we see on TV, Randy Moss just got traded. Belichick traded him. Randy Moss, one of the best receivers. So, I've been in the company of Bobby Orr. I met Bobby Orr. I'll tell you one story about Bobby Orr. Bobby Orr was the best. So Bobby Orr showed up at PC, when PC had the ring. Showed up. He was at the table signing autographs, right? And my son Jerry's now 38 years old. Jerry's probably 8 years old. And Jerry's got popcorn. And Bobby Orr puts his hand there, takes the popcorn out, eats it, and he signs it. Now I get a picture, Bobby Orr taking the popcorn out. We go up to Gillette Stadium, and Bobby Orr's the spokesperson for Trek's deck. So I go over and I show him the picture. And I show him, I said, Bobby Orr, Bobby, this picture is probably 25 years old, right? I said, it's my son, Jerry. I said, here you are taking this popcorn. He goes, come on, let me sign a few things. Good. Everything's good, right? Now he gets up to speak. He's supposed to be a motivated speaker, right? Gets up to speak. This is Bobby Orr. This is an absolute true story, verified. My son, Jerry, can tell you. He goes, Jerry Zarrella, will you come up here for a minute? So I said, okay. I walk up. I said, yeah, Bobby. He goes, no, I want the other Jerry Zarrella. So my son sat at the table. I said, come on up. So here we are. Bobby Orr's up here at the mic. Jerry Zarrella's here. I'm here, right? All of a sudden, a guy comes in with popcorn, right? Gets it to Jerry, puts his hand there, tells the guy, take a picture. I said, that was Bobby Orr, right? So you can't get these guys to do this if you show up as a stiff. I mean, you can't show up as a stiff. You can't, and that's what I like about it, right? So I've had some good experiences. I've met people from all different walks of life, you know what I mean? And I try to every day meet a different person because my education is not one that I get in the books or not one that I get on the cell phone. My education I get is from people I meet every day. And that's how I learn to do things. I learn to do things, and those are the things I do. Plus, I like to have a lot of fun. So before I go to get my knee operated on, so I'm in Block Island, and I couldn't even move. It's bone on bone, right? So now I'm Catholic. I'm a Catholic, I'm afraid I'm going to die in this operating room. These were all the things. This had to be maybe 15 years ago, right? So Father Patano, he's a priest. He's across the street. We're right across from that, right? So I'm with my friend Vinny DeMeglio. He's helping me doing some maintenance on there. And my wife said, "You better not back out of this." She goes, 7 times you backed out. So I said, "All right." So I said, "I think I'm going to go see Father Patano," right? He goes, "Okay." So I go, knock on the door, directory. I said, "Father, I'm going to have my knee operated on Tuesday." He goes, "We'll pray for you." He said, "We'll pray for you. Hope everything goes all well." I said, "Yeah, but I'm afraid." "Oh, there's nothing to be afraid. These people do it all the time." I said, "Yeah, but I said, "Would you hear my confession?" He goes, "We know each other too well." He said, "When was the last time you did a confession?" I said, 35 years ago. So he goes, "Why don't we go on to Paula," right? He said, "And you talk to God, you tell God what you did wrong, and then you and I will pray after," right? So I see him sitting there. He's a funny guy. I like Father Patano. He's the older guy. He's funny, right? I just see him sitting there like this. And here I am, figuring out what I did. So I said, "Hey, Father Patano." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Fake a tip. Is that a sin?" He goes, "Jerry, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean fake a tip?" I said, "Well, I was at Allie's Donuts this morning. I said I got a coffee and a donut. I didn't have enough money, so I pretended I put the money in. I shook the jar." So I'm waiting for him to laugh. He don't freaking laugh. Right? I'm pissing my pants over there. He goes, "Well, if you think it's a sin, then you need to confess. You need to confess it." Right? But this is the shit that I pull off, right? Nobody will pull that off. I mean, this happens all the time to me. No matter where I go, I do that all the time. So my doctor says to me, tells Debbi, he goes, "I shouldn't say this." He goes, "But my favorite patient is your husband." He's a real lefty. He's a strong Democrat. Now, I resigned from the Republican Party. I'm fighting him. I'm suing the leadership of the party right now. So I'm an independent. Right? So I don't know if you follow me on Facebook, but I post all this stuff about these 4 leaders that are there. I've never seen anybody like it. So one of them, I call him Baghdad Bob. He's the new chairman of the party. So Baghdad Bob was the spokesperson for Iraq war. He said, "We're winning the war. We're winning the war. No Americans are here." You see the statue of Saddam Hussein going down. The Americans are there. So Baghdad Bob was a bullshitter. So this guy's a bullshitter. So I call him Baghdad Joe Powers. Then I got Backstabbing Sue Shanky. She's another one. She used to be the council president in town over here. So they filed an ethics complaint. They said that the Speaker of Rhode Island, who's a friend of mine, he's the most powerful politician in the state, he's a friend of mine, did something unethical. He tried to put a bill through so I could have weddings here at my farm. So what they don't know, and they were supposed to do their research, and they said they researched it. What they don't know is, number one, even if the bill went through saying that if you were a farmer, you could have a wedding, right? So if you're a farmer, you could have weddings at your farm. Mike, he and Mike, my ex-door neighbor on the other side, hired a lawyer to fight me with the town. And we won, we lost, we won, we lost. It was going back and forth. But what my wife did was, the judge says, by the town ordinance, you cannot have the weddings. She said, "I have 4 booked." He said, "You could go outside, talk to your neighbors, and see if they'll agree to let you have the weddings." So we go outside. Mike was not there. His lawyer was there. Mike was not there. His lawyer was there. Same lawyer. Right? So my wife said, "I'll go to jail. I'm going to have the weddings. I'm not going to call some father up and say, your daughter's getting married in 2 weeks. You can't have the weddings." So then says, if you put into the agreement to run with the land, you put into the agreement that you won't have weddings at your property, I'll agree. So our lawyer and their lawyer worked it out. So what we put into there, but he couldn't do that. It had to be the town. So the town wrote it up in such a way that no weddings were allowed to be had at Gerald's farm. No weddings could be here, right? unless
Is that all over Exeter? No weddings?
No, just my. Exeter doesn't have a place you can have weddings. So if you want to have a wedding, you go get a permit. You got to get a permit from them. But I wrote in the agreement that I would not do that. Then I tried to get a permit years later to have a wedding, but that's the agreement I had. So they sued me and the speaker, and saying that he helped me. He's a real estate lawyer. And I used him twice. He's a good guy. I served with him on CRMC. His name is Joe Shikashi. He's probably the most honest guy. When you're in that position, you could take the environment out of somebody, but you can't, but you can't take you could take somebody out of their environment, but you can't take the environment out of that person. That environment, to be the speaker, it's not the best environment. We've had issues with former speakers. A couple went to jail and everything else. This guy's not that slice of bread. This guy's not that slice of bread. He's not the end on a loaf. This guy's in the middle. He's honest, good guy. And I'm fighting. I'm fighting because what they did to him, but what they did to me. They brought my family into it. They brought the headlines into it. If you go on my Facebook page, it's there. But, what else am I going to do? And like I said to myself, the last thing you want to do is you want to do that to me. I'm going to fight you, all right? So I got a big fight going against them. So you got 29 questions. What more do you got there? We haven't talked about my property, but go ahead.
Well, let's go back a little bit to the beginning. After the 2,800 deal, after the 75,000 deal that you bought the other half for, right? Or was it 80? Sorry. Those three numbers came up in this conversation, and I'm trying to remember.
First guy bought for 28.
Okay.
Second guy wanted, I paid him 68,000.
Okay.
He wanted 75,000.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
So after you bought out the 68,000, how did you go from that moment to the biggest in Rhode Island?
Every day was a building block. Every day was a building block. I built the business. I always looked for good workers. I always went out to see my customers. I always gave, I was probably the cheapest price out there. I worked on volume. I worked on volume. That's what I always wanted to do, was work on volume. So I was a volume worker. So if I cut my price, the only way I would make money is I had to have volume. And then if the market stopped, like right now the market stopped, right? If you're working on volume today, you're in trouble because there's no volume out there. So you got to shift gears. You shift gears. I was there when gas was every odd even day in 1980 when President Carter was there. I was there when interest rates were 17% interest rates. I was there when Nixon put his price freeze in 1976, right? You remember the interest rates there? I've seen it all. I've been through all of this, and like my son Jerry, people say, listen to your father. He's been there. We have a difference of opinion because he's from the new school. The new school is instant gratification. I'm from the old school. It takes time, but the gratification will come. My gratification come on the end of my life, not in the middle of my life. My gratification is at the end. I've done this, done that, done this. So I look back, and that's where my gratification is.
And how did you get the volume? How did you generate the volume? Because there's only so many houses being built other than having a low price.
I went, well, if you're a builder and someone does good work and someone's got a low price, he's calling you.
So word of mouth.
Yeah. I went out, met him, and I became, I played tennis with him. I invited him to tennis. When I go out to dinner, take him to the Red Sox game. The guys, I'm a guy's guy. Guys like me better than women like me. So, that's what else can I tell you? You know what I mean? So I get along good. Like, I go on a job with the guys, like, people say, why don't you retire? What am I going to do if I retire? I would be so bored that I would get unhealthy. You know what I mean? I like going to the job. I like to be creative. I like to see the guys. I like to talk to the guys. What makes me feel good now is these subcontractors call me. Like my Finnish carpenter, Bobby, just called me that day. He goes, Jerry, I got a problem. How would you handle this? It was an insurance problem. So I recommended a good lawyer to him. I got another friend on Block Island. I got a problem. How would you handle this problem? It's a zoning problem. So when people are calling me because they know I've been there, done that, and done all of this, So
And you sold that business, right?
I sold the foundation business, sold the excavating business. But I'm going to take you back 15 years ago. If you go up Route 2, there was no buildings. The first building I put up on Route 2, and I always try to put my buildings up to look like a residential house, not brick and mortars. So I went up there. So I had 5 buildings. I built Independence Bank, where the bank is right now. And I built right next to Rice-A-Roni, I built that long building. Across the street from, what the hell is it? Bostage, I built that building. There's a doctor's office in there, a dentist's office, a condo. So it would be Zarrella 1, Zarrella 2 office buildings, Zarrella 1, Zarrella 2, Zarrella 3, Zarrella 4 office buildings, right? So now I want to go into East Greenwich and I want to build this building. It's the Piazza Zarrella. Let's get my name on it, right? So now we're going to go in front of the zoning board. So everybody knows I don't go to zoning boards. I don't go to planning boards. I can't go with the nonsense. I end up telling them off and all that. So my lawyers will keep you away. You ain't testifying. You ain't going there. I mean, I got these people that during the day they're a housewife or they work for Cox TV or they work for something, and they're going to tell me and they're going to set on a plan that I have of what I want to do. I do good work and I know what I'm doing. So anyways, he says, you're not going to win this. The lawyer's telling me you're not going to win it. He goes, let me put enough into the record. So let me put enough into the record so that we'll take it to court. We'll appeal it. Sure. So I let him talk. He's doing this. And one woman asked one question. And boy, I was waiting for her. She goes, can I ask you a question, Mrs. Zarrella? I drive down Route 1, and I Route 2, and I see Zarrella 1, Zarrella 2, Zarrella 3, Zarrella 4, Zarrella 5. Now you want to make this the Piazza Zarrella. What is that all about? Trump wasn't even popular at the time. I said to her, Trump Towers, he has his name on a building. I said, what's the one in Boston? I forget what the name of it is right now. What's where the Boston Marathon finishes? That name's on the building.
John Hancock?
Yeah, Hancock, the Hancock building. I said, I don't have a diploma like you have. I don't have a diploma on the wall like you have when you go home at night. My diploma is my buildings, the thing I do, you know. And I said, and I know you're going to vote against me because I think you're anti-Italian. I don't think you like my last name. You brought it up. You don't want to see Italian names in this Yankee town. That's what I said. Right? This Yankee town. No way she's going to vote against me. I know that. There's no way any of those people are going to vote against me there. And the lawyer's going bullshit, right? He's going bullshit because, you know, that's what I did. I walked out of there with the votes. The lawyer said I never had him going in, but I had him going out. And let me tell you how I got him. I wasn't the lawyer. I wasn't the smartest guy in the room, but I had the experience. She opened the door. She mentioned the name. I know how people are. Read the paper, do this. You know, I follow the news. It doesn't take long for me to put 2 and 2 together. It doesn't take me long. I could put it together right away. There's all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's so much stuff that happens. I'll tell you a short story because I love my wife, but she's funny, right? She drives fast. So we're in Florida. I was in Naples. I had 2 places in Naples, and we had to go over to visit her sister in Fort Lauderdale. So we're coming across 75, and we're going back and forth. So anyways, I didn't go that day. She went. She comes across, so I see her, and she goes, I got a ticket. And I said, yeah. I said, you try to talk to the cop? What did you do, right? You ask him? No. I said, Debbi, you always want me to do the talking. You got to talk to the cops. Tell them that you were visiting. And this time my son was in a hospital there. I said, tell him what was happening, you know? And she goes, well, I'm not like you. I'm not like you, you know? And all of a sudden, brrr, cop pulls me over. She's in the car with me. She goes, let me see you get out of this one. Cop pulls me over. He goes, you went through a red light. I said, I know. I said, officer, let me tell you, this wife of mine just got a ticket. Do you know how fast she was going? The guy said, no. I said, look at this ticket, 120 miles an hour. I said, oh, that's what she got a ticket for, 120 miles an hour. She's driving a Range Rover. She said she was tired. She wanted to get home. She's telling me this. All right? Oh, in the meantime, I called my friend who's the chief of police at Block Island. He's on the phone. I said, Vinny, what should I do? He goes, and he tried to talk her out of it. I said, wait a minute, this other cop's pulling me over. I just went for a red light. So Vinny's on hold, listen to me go with the cop, right? And I see Debbi over there. And she goes, let me see you talk your way on this. I show the ticket. The cop's did it. He goes, oh, buddy, go ahead. He goes, oh, buddy, go ahead. Vinny's on the phone. He's laughing like a son of a bitch. He's laughing like a son of a bitch, right? So that happens all the time. That happens all the time. So this is a story for Amy. So what else did you want to ask me? Because I'll go on. This is a story all the time.
That's okay. I'm happy to listen to it. I've learned a lot just by listening to the stories. So it's all worthwhile to me.
So I got to tell you this. If you go on my Facebook,
we're going to go on your Facebook.
There's an article there, Cathie Gregg. Cathie Gregg is the last of the Mohegans. What do I say to Mohegans? The Providence Journal doesn't have any political reporters. They've all retired. Charlie Bass retired. McKay retired. All these guys are retired, right? She's the last one. She is the most feared reporter around because she'll just nail you if you screw up. She does an excellent job. So she's over at Block Island. I tell the chairwoman of the party, I said, I'm going to go have a drink with her. You know, are you crazy, Cathie Gregg? You never want to be around her. She's just going to write bad stuff about you and everything else. We get over there, wonderful woman, her and her husband. She puts on Facebook about me. There's a story. Somebody should write a book, do a movie. She puts this on it. These Republicans back here can't understand it. I tell them, because you guys go over there, you try to be something you're not. Why don't you just be what you are? You're a loser. Show up as a loser. Why do you go over there and try to let them think you're not a loser, right? You're a stupid person. Why don't you let them go over there? You let them think you're smarter than they are. And I said, and I don't mean that derogatory. I mean that what you guys got to do. You got to show up there. You got to show up and you got to be yourself, right? Nobody will ever write a bad story about you if you go over there and you let them know what your story is. But when you go over there and you try to be holier than thou and you're robbing the public, she's going to write a story about you. She's going to write a story about you. So that's the way I do things. But what else you got?
I like that as the way to do things.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people look and go, maybe you shouldn't have said that. You think about it. I think people will respect you more for it in the long run if you just say what you want to say.
I've had to apologize a few times. I had to apologize a few times. But here's the way I look at it, right? Some people in the course of a week, they take 10 chances and they win 9 out of 10. They're happy, right? Right? I take 1,000 chances, right? And I probably lose 7 out of 10. But I took the chance. I went in a game. I learned. Next time I take the chance, I ain't going to make the same mistake as the one I just lost. So you gotta learn by that. You know what I mean?
That's a perfect segue into what are the biggest mistakes you would may have made that maybe I could avoid or people like me could avoid?
Well, I made a lot of mistakes. So, but I would think.
You don't have to pick the biggest.
No, but yeah. I would think my mistakes have been probably in judgment. Like when I was going through my divorce, 3 of my guys left and started their own business. They became my competitors. My mistakes were judgment mistakes. You know what I mean? When I married my first wife again, knowing what I know now, would I have sued her or boyfriend knowing what I would know now? Would I have signed that stupid piece of paper that I had my wife sign about the farm over here? Stuff like that. You know what I mean? I mean, I didn't. like I said, I look back at my life and then I look at a rearview mirror. It's like, man, I got a lot of scars, but they don't hurt. You know what I mean? So that's what the scars, they don't hurt. You know, it's like, now your dad will like this, right? So I own a house in East Greenwich, and it's in a Wall Street Journal. You got to come to my office and see all the stuff I got hanging up there because, like I said, I have no diplomas. All I have is my scars. I'm building a house for Scott Kisting. You know, Scott Kisting was going to be the new president of Citizens Bank. Larry Fish was retiring, so they brought Scott in. So Scott wanted to buy my house. I said, Scott, I can't sell you this house. At the time, I want to do it. But I said I could probably duplicate it. So we went down, we bought a house on the water for about $900,000, and we demolished it. The people down there didn't like the idea that he spent $900,000 and took the house down. And we had to put a safe room in because I don't know if you guys know this, a lot of these people that are in public like that, they're worried about kidnapping, and they pay off. They pay these kidnappers. So we had to put a safe room in the house there. So I was doing all of this, and then Scott came to me and said to me, my wife really doesn't like Rhode Island, and I got an offer. I'm going to go out to Wells Fargo, right? And he goes, I want you to finish the house, and I want you to sell the house. So he said, finish it up, sell it. He goes, what lawyer do you recommend? I told him Sandy Resnick. So he had a balance on the house of about, he said, send Jerry every 2 weeks. Because I'm finishing the house. Well, the money was coming in faster than it was. I had to call Scott up. I said, Scott, I don't want your money. I haven't hit that goal yet. You know what I mean? So he just liked me like that, right? So our real estate woman, God rest her soul, she was head of residential properties, Diane Ferrara. So she brings me a guy for this house. And this guy comes in. Oh, I capped her commission at $100,000. I said, you already got $100,000. She was mad, but hey, that's what I did. So brings a guy in. He's in a garbage business in New York City. He's going to give me a check for $1,000 with an offer. So I said to him, I can't take a $1,000 check on a $2 million house. I said, you've got to come up with some serious money on that. Well, look at, right, so he goes, I already got this one check with me. He goes, here's a check for $10,000. He goes, when I get back to New York, I'll put the money in it. So now he's going to be a bad check for $10,000, right? Right? He's a carbone in Italian. He's a carbone.
Do you know that
right?
expression?
He's a carbone in Italian.
I do.
Carbone's like a loudmouth Italian. He's hollering, swearing, hollers out the window, hey, Benny! That's a carbone, that type of guy, right? So this guy he's carbone all over him, right? It's with Diane Ferrara. She gets $100,000. So I called Diane. I said, Diane, I got to get a substantial check. I said, plus he's giving me bad paper. She goes, yeah, I know. So she goes, let's see what we can do. He's going back. He'll get a check. In the meantime, up comes Terry Murray. Terry Murray's brother-in-law worked at Coleman. Terry Murray, president of the Bank of America, right? So he's there, right? He comes in. He brings me in this guy who's going to be the chief executive Textron, and he's coming from Switzerland, where he managed GMC. So he's coming in there, right? So now they're in my office. Now I got Diane Ferrara with the garbage guy from New York. I got Coleman with a gentleman. He was a gentleman from Switzerland who's going to go work at Textron. So the gentleman's offer is about $100,000 to $125,000. I forgot, less than what the guy from New York is going to do, right? So he goes, Jerry, I don't want to go up in the house. I think this is the max. I'm maxed out. I'm at $1,725,000, say it was, and the other guy is like at $1,800,000. So like a $75,000, about $100,000. The garbage guy's $100,000 more, right? So he said, how do I get it? I said, you write me a check right now for $1 million, put it on a table, make sure that money's good. If you could do that, I said, I can probably make this go. I need some time. Sure enough, a couple hours later, got a check for $1 million, right? Coleman brings it in, right? He brings it in. Called Diane Ferraro up. I said, get the check. What's the most the guy's going to give? I don't want to tell her I got $1 million check. She said, well, he's going to give you $100,000 after Scott accepts his offer, right? I said, all right. Now she goes, what are you doing? I said, I got another offer. What are you talking about? I want to know what's going on. You know, I'm the listing agent. I said, you're not the listing agent. I gave you it. I said, I'm handling this. Scott up. Scott, I got 2 offers. And I said, one is 70, I think it was either $75,000 or $100,000 more. He said, which one? No, he's smart. He didn't tell me take the one at $75,000. He said, which one is the superior offer? The superior offer is the low one, subject to nothing. It's a cash deal, and I have a substantial deposit. I don't want to tell him I got for a deposit. He said, what's the other one? I said, I have a check. I got to wait for it to be good. It's for $10,000. What? I said, $10,000. He goes, what's the other guy gave you? I said, I got a check for $1 million. What? $1 million. So he goes, Jerry, make the deal for the other guy, Coleman. So now she's pissed off that she's going to split her commission with him, right? He's pissed off that she kept pushing him and saying, you didn't go through me. You went direct through Jerry. You had to go through me to put the offer in because she was the listing broker, right? So now Sheila Harrington, her office is right here in East Greenwich. So if you went down next to Ray Cerrone, a couple of buildings down, you'll see a sign that says Harrington Rose. She's a pretty girl, and she was a young girl when this happened. This happened probably 20 years ago. She just got in 25 years ago. So they hired her to do the closing. So my guy, text Rod, ain't there. It's her, right? So at the closing, so this is the way I operate. At the closing, these 2 realtors, I put an envelope, and I give each one of them the envelope, right? And I said, don't open it till it goes, until we go. Nope. So we have to close it. Sheila's there. One of them wants to open it right there. Boom, they open it, and peanuts fall out. And there's a little note in there that said, I worked for peanuts, and I try to make this deal for you guys. You should appreciate what I did. The other guy opens his envelope, and peanuts come out. I said, I worked for peanuts, and you should appreciate what I did, because they're all pissed off at me, you know. This guy's mad that, you know, that his guy didn't get it right away. She's mad, everything else. Sheila Harrington couldn't believe this. She couldn't believe it, right? So she'll tell you the story. If you go in and ask Sheila, say, Sheila, tell me about the peanut story. So about a month later, I go to the mailbox. I pick it up. There's a thing from Scott Kisting, you know. All it says was return address, Scott Kisting. I open it up. There's a check in there for $35,000. And there's a package of Planters peanuts, right? And he has a little note there. He goes, if you want more peanuts, just use the check. I call Scott up. I said, Scott, what's this for? He goes, I thought they would split it 3 ways. I said, no, I never asked for 3 ways. I said, that's the way it is. He goes, you take the check. You earned it. I said, Scott, no, I put the deal together. It was part of the deal for the house. No, I insist you take the check. That's a classy guy.
All right.
That's a classy guy. In 2007, when I sold my property to that asshole in the back there, I called Scott. I said, Scott, the market's down. What do you think? I got an offer from this guy in the back, almost market price for my land. He goes, it's going to be a long recovery, Jerry. He said, it's going to be a long recovery. Let's see what the president does. But he said, my position is, I always tell everybody, wait. When you're in the financial business, wait, because, you know, it's like a seesaw. You know, financial's like a seesaw.
How'd you do in 08?
Huh?
How did you do in 08? How did you weather through 08?
To the chicken manure, right? Here's another guy, right? When I was going through this with him, right, I Googled ugly people, ugly couples, and I got pictures. They had like about 6 ugly pictures. Well, all right, put them in. I put it on Facebook. Here's my next door neighbor. Oh, I crucified him. I tortured him. He needed it. He had it covered. And then I find the guy that dropped the chicken manure. I find the guy that dropped the chicken manure there. He said, I was told by Miss not to wait there, not to drop it until he he showed up. And he put it right next to where the guy was cooking, raw chicken manure. We called the state police. State police said, if I could have dragged them out, I would have put our DEM said, I would have put the handcuffs on him and dragged them out. He said, just send me the fine.
And that wasn't the only bold action taken. The night team's Danielle Kennedy is at that property in Exeter with what the lawyers told her tonight.
Patrice, the owner of this property known as Gerald's Farm, suing his neighbors after he says they dumped a pile of chicken manure right next to his property just hours before a wedding here, making for a very smelly wedding day for a bride battling cancer.
Just send me the fine, right? And the state police guy, they went over there, they said, the woman that's getting married here tomorrow has got stage 4 cancer. She's from East Greenwich. He said, that ain't my problem. She got married. Right, we had a lawsuit. He paid daily. I can't say what it was because we had a confidentiality agreement, right? And the woman died. She was 34 years old. She died, right? And the only thing that her mother and father had were those pictures of that wedding of her. You know what I mean? Her last hurrah. So people are like that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's what happens. What's some more of your questions?
That's too bad. Have you always been like this? Have you always been, I'm going to go get it. This is who I am. And can you remember when that started and maybe why? Like, what's fueling all this for you?
Well, I'll tell you what happens. My wife was sitting in bed. I get up in the morning.
By the way, you watch TV a lot?
24/7.
I see it 24/7.
We sleep in the night. When I get up in the morning, I'll jump out of bed and I'll say, Debbi, because I would say, Debbi, I said, you're the bugler. Bugler, sound the charge. So, like when the Cowboys, the Indians, and the Cowboys coming and John Wayne's leading up, bugler, sound the charge. So when I get up in the morning, that's what I say to myself every day, bugler, sound the charge. Because when I go out, it's a challenge. It's a challenge when I go out. And, it's like, I don't go to a stuffy office. I don't go sit there where they talk bullshit around the water cooler. I mean, I'm out there where tough is tough. I mean, the guys that work on these houses, the guys that have roof on these houses, it's snowing out there roofing, it's raining out there roofing. I mean, you go to a job, here's the best way I can describe it, right? You go to the job, you start talking to a guy. If in your father's business, if you were talking to somebody, they would sneeze. They reach in their pocket and they would sneeze into a handkerchief, right? I'm talking to a guy in a job, he goes, right? So that's the difference. You know what I mean? So these are the guys you're with. You can't go out there and be a powder cuff. I mean, if they think they'll push you to the point when you're going to stop. So that's what they do. So I got the reputation out there. Everybody knows I don't take any bullshit. My wife has got the reputation. She's a sweetheart. Everybody loves her. Right? And they'll say that. And I just sent a letter to a guy that I'm doing a job for. I gotta read the letter to you because I say to him, here's my people that could call for references. I gave him Judge Leach, I just built him a house. I gave Bob Task, I just built him a house. And I said, here's these people you could call. I said, for a reference, I said, they're all going to tell you the same thing. Debbi's smart. She's a sweetheart. Excellent ideas. Very creative mind, right? Jerry doesn't take any bullshit. He'll get the job done on time. I said it to my customer. I said, that's what they're going to tell you, right? Guy calls me up. He goes, I love you, Jerry. He goes, nobody would ever say that, right? But that's straight out. What are they gonna? That's what they're gonna tell them. That's what I am. I mean, what are they gonna tell them? I'm a pansy. I ain't gonna say I'm a pansy. I mean, that's how I get the job done. I mean, I'll call these guys up. Like, if they don't show up, they're supposed to be there. I'll call them 6 o'clock in the morning. Where were you? You're supposed to be there yesterday. My wife will text them. Then my son Jerry says, I don't call anybody after 4 o'clock. I don't call anybody on a Saturday or Sunday. I mean, to me, I work 24/7, 7 days a week. Leap year, I work the extra day. When you set the clock ahead an hour, I work twice as fast to make that hour up in the day. That's where I am. I'm a worker. Nobody can tell you I'm not. You don't see
Why?
me, right? Huh?
Why? Because
going back to the go back to the iron lung. That's what it is.
That's where it is.
If somebody says to me, what drove me is the day that I thought I was completely paralyzed and that I couldn't walk. Now listen, I got a bad foot. I got to have surgery on it. So they want me to walk with a cane. I ain't walking with no cane. I got to tell you something else. I don't go to wakes. I don't go to wakes. I can't see someone laying in a box. I can't see that. I don't go to wakes.
Do you
I don't go
fear?
to wakes.
Do you fear death?
Do I fear death? Well, so let me tell you what happened. April 3rd of this year, right? I just come back from Florida. I just bought a condo down there. So, so I'm going around with this
Congratulations.
I'm going with this real estate woman. And they're not used to me down there,
Where are they used to, Jerry?
These real estate women, they all dress up like they're out of a magazine. They all dress there, right? I got a pair of shorts on, sneakers. I got a shirt ripped off at the top. Who gives a shit, right? I was upset at myself, right? So I go out, put it in office. She goes, I can't put it on. I said, look, you have to understand, I do this for a living all the time. She goes, that office is awful low. I said, well, I'll tell you what the girl in Block Island said. She said to me, my office were lower than whale shit. The woman, the real estate woman.
Right.
She goes, Jerry, your office is lower than whale shit. Whale shit goes all the way to the bottom of the ocean. That's how low my office are. But I told her that's what I do. So we put a couple offices in. So I can pay cash for this, but I don't want to pay cash for it because down there you want to know if their dues are current, if their reserves are current, and everything else. So if you put it subject to a bank, the bank is going to do a lot of that research for you. Oh. So the first two people say, we don't accept it. It's going to be cash deal. So I never heard of that in my life, right? But anyways, so I negotiate. So finally, I call her back. We're friends. She came up to visit us here about a month ago. She was there. I said, I'm going to go back. And I said, I'm going to raise the price, my offer. So I went back and she said, I'll let you know. So I fly home. I gave every one of these real estate people a nickname. The ones that were selling the condos, I gave them all a nickname, right? So she texts me. She said, you won the condo. So I get off the plane on the Saturday. I won the condo, right? April 3rd, Monday night. Now, I put my TV on. It stays on all night, 24/7, because I get up for a couple hours, go to the bathroom, then I'll sleep a little bit, get up again, or Debbi will get up. Well, she's working at her computer watching, but we just sleep on our TV on 24 hours. So I said to Debbi, I'm in bed. I said, I think I'm having a heart attack. We got to go. She goes, oh, no, you're having anxiety. She said, I said, no, I'm going to go. I'm having a heart attack, right? She goes, it's just anxiety, So I get a lot of anxiety. So sometimes I'll drive out at 2 o'clock in the morning, just take a ride and just to relax a little bit, So I go in, I take an aspirin, and I had an anxiety pill if I took anxiety, right? So I take that. And I said, let's go. We're going to the hospital. I drove myself down. I got these chest pains that are like, needles. So I pull up to the hospital. My wife's with me. She can tell you the story. I pull up there in the emergency room. I'm going to jump out of the car. There's a pizza delivery guy. Instead of park this way, park this way. I get out of the car. I said, what the fuck are you doing? I'm having a fucking heart attack. I got to get to the fucking place. And so now I'm screaming at the guy. No, the hospital empties out. They come out there. The fucking hospital empties out, right? So now they come out the hospital, right? And they don't know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And all I know is that they had me hooked up to all kinds of stuff. And then they said to Debbi, he's having a heart attack right now. We're calling Dr. Lowe, right? Boom. Upstairs they put me. So I had a heart attack April 3rd. So I had the heart attack. So I'm laying on a fucking table. And this arm is all tied up. This arm's all tied up. My nose is itchy. A woman doctor come over. I said to her, Doc, I said, my birthday is coming up and my grandkids, my son's having a baby. I said, I don't want to die here today. I said, I don't want to die here today. She goes, we're going to do everything for you. You're not going to die here today. I said, thank you. So I said, my nose is itchy. I can't scratch my nose. So in comes Dr. Luke comes in. He puts everything on. He goes, let's go. He goes, Jerry, because I knew it from before. He goes, yeah, you want your life saved or you want your nose scratched? I said, save my life. So I had to go up here, in here, and put a stint in me. Then to put a stint in me, right? So I had a stint. So anyways, so I'm laying on the table, and when I'm laying on the table, I'm thinking about everything, and I'm saying, I don't want to die, and like all of a sudden, and I asked them, I said, everything went black, and I said, and I saw like a tunnel, and I said, I'm waiting for, hey, St. Peter coming, is God coming, maybe the devil's coming. I'm like saying to myself, who's showing up? I died. They said, you didn't die. They know if you die on the machine, the machine, you didn't die. We gave you drugs. That's what probably thought of it, right? So anyways, they take me back to the room. So now I tell my wife, there's no way I want my kids to see me in the hospital this way, because I don't want them to see me. That ain't me, right? So anyways, so I'm laying in bed over there. And I gotta go to the bathroom, right? And after you have the heart attack, you're peeing all the time. So I said, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm having a stomach ache. So she brings me a thing. So she puts it on you, right? She puts it on me, right? I gotta pee into it. I lost all my dignity. She got my dick in a freaking thing. I gotta pee into it, right? So I can't do that, right? So another one comes in. She grabs the thing. She goes, just relax, Jerry, and just pee in it. You're gonna have a lot of things. We're gonna hook you up to something that you pee into it after, and you fill it right up. You gotta relax. I couldn't relax. I said, can you get my wife here? I said, yeah, there's no dignity here. And I said, don't send me another nurse unless she's got Parkinson's disease. So they all start laughing, right? I just had a snit put at me, man, right? So now, phone rings, 6:30 in the morning, right? 6. Is this room 215? Yes. You didn't fill out your breakfast. What would you like to have? Bacon. I'll have blueberry pancakes. They bring me up all this food. I just had a heart attack. I'm not supposed to be bacon. I'm not supposed to be having that shit. It was fruit, blueberry pancake, orange juice. I forgot ice cream. So they give me that, right? Woman said you can't eat that. So now my wife says to me, the kid's gonna come in and see you. Now I'm back to like, I'm waiting for the drugs to wear off. I'm not going to let them see me down, So my son, Jerry's all nervous. He's telling my son, Paul, they think I'm going to be over here like laid out like this. That ain't me. I'm not going to do that, right? So I just fought it down. So I see Dr. Lou, right? Comes in a couple of days later. So he goes, I said, Doc, what do you think? He goes, you're going to lose 30 pounds. I said, what type of diet I go on? He said, just lose 30 pounds. I said, what should I give up? He said, give up whatever you want. So only 2 things I want to tell you. I don't want you to smoke and I don't want you to drink. And I want you to lose 30 pounds. How you lose it is your problem. Just lose it, right? So I go to my other doctor with my wife. It's funny. She wants he's a vegan. Wants a vegetarian, right? So I said, holy shit, so I can't eat this shit they're giving me. I really can't do it. So then they take me down and they let me see a dietitian. So I go see her for heart, right? You have fish, you have this, shit, right? Now I get gout. The shit they gave me, I got gout. So now I got gout, had a heart attack, can't eat that friggin' food, ain't going to do the vegetarian thing, right? I said, holy shit. Now, if gout, you're not supposed to have fish. You're not supposed to have that type of stuff because it gets the gout. Like this is the side effects of the gout right over here, right now. It affects your joints, the crystals in there, right? So now, here I am. I can't do the hot diet, can't do this, I got the gout diet. So I just cut back. I've lost 45 pounds. So
Wow.
I lost 45 pounds since April 3rd.
I noticed it as soon as I walked in.
I lost 45 pounds since April 3rd, right? I'm stronger now than I ever would, right? So I see Dr. Lou the other day, right? Great. I wrote a nice letter. I wrote a letter to the president of the hospital. I said, Dr. Lou saved my life and the staff saved it. I said, I couldn't believe the type of service they did and everything here. I wrote a nice letter, and they called him on it, and he was very thankful of it. So what happened was the actor from Rhode Island, James Wood, his brother went to the same hospital, same thing I had. They left him in a waiting room. He died. James Wood sued Kent Hospital for millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he got awarded the money, donated it all. But now they're the best cardiac thing there. So they're good cardiac people there. So, anyways, I tell you about so now the second, this is not funny. So now I told Debbie, leave me some money because my wallet's there, but leave me some money because I don't know what I need. I never had a heart attack. Now I got to go to the bathroom and I got to use the toilet. I can't use the bedpan, right? So nurse comes in. I said, "Here, I want you to have this." And she, "What's this $50 for?" I said, "I want to go up and use the bathroom." Do you have to use number 2? She said. I said, "Yeah." She says, "You can't get out of bed. It says you're bedridden, and I can't take $50. I said, "Well, this is the entire way of doing business." She starts laughing. She brings in the head dress over there. I'm paying her $50 to go take a crap in a goddamn toilet, as opposed to the freaking pin she wants to put me on there. So I put me in a pin. I'm not going to do it. So I told him, "You got to call Dr. Lowe. I am not shitting in that pan," right? So anyways, they hooked me up. They walked me over to the bathroom, right? And I go in, and the nurse is standing. I said, "What are you doing here?" She goes, I said, "Can't you go outside to the door and I'll call you when I'm done?" She goes, "Yeah, you got to call me because guess what?" I go, "What?" She goes, "You're not moving your arms to wipe yourself." Because I had intravenous on this arm, and in this arm, I just had the stent pulled in. You lose all your dignity over there. You're going to have someone wipe your ass and the goddamn thing. I just had a heart attack, right? They liked me when I left over there.
Did they do that to you?
No.
They didn't wipe your ass? I couldn't wipe my ass because I had intravenous on this and they put the stent on this, right? So anyways, I went there. They were all happy while I was leaving. They were all everything. My kids showed up. I wouldn't let them see me down. Can't let, I'm acting the same way I'm acting right now. And, and a matter of fact, you'd think they would feel sorry for me. They still call me. "Can you do this? Can you do that?" I'm not supposed to lift it. They told me I couldn't lift anything, like all that stuff. Yeah, couldn't lift everything else. So,
do you feel better?
I feel fabulous.
Yeah.
I feel fabulous. Yeah. And my blood pressure was always high. Now it goes low on me sometimes. I can take my blood pressure. So they have a cardiac group that comes over and checks on you. Every day they would come, take my blood pressure, put the thing on your finger. They do all that stuff. And they monitor me really good, right? So anyways, I'm telling a woman, I said, "Look, I got Dr. Lou telling me I got to lose 30 pounds, but tells me don't go on a diet." He told me, "Eat half of what you do, take the other half home." That's what I've been doing. That's how I lost 45 pounds. My goddamn refrigerator's loaded with leftovers. Because when I order a meal, I order half. I eat half. I take the rest home. So I get satisfied that way. So I said, then I got the other one. Then the nutritionist you sent me there, she gives me goddamn gout. Then if I go to the gout, they're gonna give me fatty food. I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack, right? So I said, and then my wife, she won't let me eat anything. I said, "If you go to my house over this, there's nothing I can eat, right?" So I said, and my blood sugar goes down low. So she said to me, "Do you have any peanut butter crackers like the Ritz crackers?" She said, "You should have one of those. If you think your blood sugar's going down low, just take that, right?" So now I said to Debbie, "Where's the peanut butter?" I gave all the food to Sarah. Nothing in there. So I get on the end of the road. I buy the Ritz crackers, right? And so I come home. Debbie said, "What'd you eat today?" I said, "I had watermelon yogurt." Did you have anything else? No. Okay. But I'm hungry. I want to get something. Well, wait a minute. I'm going to give you a cup of this and a cup of that. Fuck the cups. I'm hungry. I want to fucking eat, right? So anyways, so I got the Ritz crackers, right? So now I put them in my sneakers, but I can't tie my shoes the first couple of weeks there because they don't want to bend over and exert, right? So I got the Ritz crackers in the sneakers, right? So anyways, I said, Debbi, she helps me every morning put on my shoes, and she'll tie and put on my socks, right? So she goes, I think you left a sock in here. She goes, because my foot wouldn't go all the way in. So I said, no, just leave it alone like that. I'll push it in. So I push it in, and, she ties my shoes and everything else. So now I got to walk out of the house, and I'm going, crunch. Crunch. So I get out. Eddie, the cousin, Ras, so he's over there. So I pull up at my car. I said, Eddie, I hate to ask you to do this. I said, would you do me a favor? He goes, what's that? I said, just untie my shoe and I kick it off. So he unties my shoe, kicks it off. I take the shoe, I dump it, there's all the Ritz crackers falling out. He starts laughing. Now I got to figure out how to put the shoe back on. I don't want to ask him. I'm embarrassed. So I'm trying to squeeze the friggin' shoe on the running board of the trunk. All right, now I got the shoe on. Now how do I tie the fucking thing? Right? So I go to the office. I don't want to ask the girl in the office to tie it, right? So I'm waiting in the office. I'm on the phone. I know Debbie's going to show up later. So she shows up. I go, Debbi, do me a favor. Can you tie that shoe? I said, I think you tied it too loose this morning. Oh, wow. So she goes up. She ties the shoe. If you like my wife, she's the funniest bastard you ever want to see. So I get up to go to the bathroom, right? I walk by a bed, right? So our bed, you could raise it up like this. You raise it up. So I sleep on my bed raised pillow. And at the time, I used to have a mask, a breathing mask. I'd have that on, right? So my bed up. Now I get up to go to the bathroom. I'm flat. And that, I can't be flat because what happened until I get rid of the water, I would have like a panic attack. So I walk by, I'm so pissed off. I go, So I could walk by that. She goes, you gave me the finger. She's sleeping. You gave me the finger. So now I go to the bathroom. I'll do it tonight too. I'll go to the bathroom. And as I walk by the bathroom, I'll just like put up my thumb or something like that. She's sleeping. So you gave me the finger. So now, with the bed. So now we go to Florida. And she said, you're not going to have that problem anymore. I like the bed down, you like it up. She said, I got this bed, and she paid $13,000 for it. So it warms your feet on the bottom, cools your feet, takes your blood pressure, lets you know how many times. There's an app over here on my phone. I'll show it to you after. But anyways, it's this sleep app. So you can raise a bed. No sleep data was recorded because it's down in Florida, but it's a sleep app. It's a sleep app. You could raise a bed and all this stuff, right? So there's my name, her name, right? So anyways, so I could go up and she's down, everything else, right? So I'm not a computer type guy. I have never sent an email in my life. I have never sent an email in my life. Hear what I said. I'll send you a text message. I don't know how even to work that computer. So I just dictated to the girl, send this email. I'm not that. I don't have time for that. And plus I don't spell right. You get an email from me, you don't know what I'm doing. So I got this phone. So I see Debbi laying flat. So I get the phone and I'm playing with it. And all of a sudden I see her like this. I just see her feet go. She's like a V. She's pissed off at me. She's trying. Now she can't get to her phone. She's in bed. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It's hilarious. It is. I don't know what I'm doing on the phone. But if you ask Tina, say, Tina, just ask Tina tomorrow, call her, say, Tina, has Jerry ever sent an email? Never sent an email. So I got one of these phones, right? So I'm good friends with Alan Fox. So I got a phone here and I'm looking at this. I said, if you hit this thing, you could do Italian. If you hit this, you could do Chinese. So I hit this thing, boom, Chinese. So I said it's Alan Funk. Figured, Alan gets it, right? So now I could use the phone. Phone's all in Chinese. I don't know how to get it back.
You don't know how to get it back.
So now I'm sitting at, where the hell was I? I was at Dan's place down on exit 4. So now I said, Dan, he goes, there's a Chinese restaurant right down the road over here. So I go down there. They don't know how to set the phone. They can't set it. It's Dragon Palace. So I said, well, let me go over here to Khan's restaurant. I know Khan. So I go over there. He knows one of the sushi chefs. Get it. They put it back. So called Alan Funk up the next day. I said, Alan, did you get my message? How the hell did you do that, Jerry? He goes, I said, shit, that's it. I won't touch that phone after that. After that, I won't touch that phone. And everybody has these iPhones. I got this whole thing. I don't know what the hell's in there. When I talk to dictator, it says anything it wants. I mean, if you ever get a text message from me, it just says whatever the phone says. Like I'll call him and let him know this, right? It might say, "Hey, your cesspool is overfilled." I don't know what the hell it will say, right? So, but I don't send text. I don't do emails. I mean, you asked me one of the regrets that I have. Probably that. I wish I could do emails. I wish I could be computer savvy. I'm not. I'm old school. I don't do it. So I got Tina. She's retiring next year. I got a new girl I'm trying to break in. I don't know if she's going to stay with me long enough, but I don't do it. So I'm probably going to have to learn how to do it. So
I would ask you this also. Professionally, other than, of course, being in the iron lung, what was a low moment that you had to overcome?
Oh, I would think probably when my partner called me up Christmas Eve and told me that he was going to liquidate the business. My wife's pregnant, and here I am trying to build myself up. So I think that would probably be the low thing. If you said that would be the low point of me, but if you say where was your low point emotionally, is when I was going through the divorce. But there's a difference between a low point in your life and a low point in your emotions. There's a difference. That's what I believe. There's a difference.
How did you find Debbi? How did you know she was the right one?
Oh, this is a great story. Ready for this story? So
I'll laugh even before you start.
So here's the story with Debbi. This is an absolute story.
By the way, Jerry, I want to let you know it's 10 of 8. I don't care. I'm happy to stay here till 9. Okay, good. Okay. I just want to make sure.
So I met Debbi, right? I'm sitting getting a haircut. And I'm down here at Joe's Barbershop getting a haircut. So my friend Matt Holland comes by. I got my tennis wear on and stuff like that, right? And my kids were with their mother, right? And Matt says to me, he said, I was flying on to Florida Eastern Airlines. And I said, yep. And he goes, Bobby Brissett's going to come with me. Bobby's still around here. He said, and my girlfriend, he goes, but I threw her out of the car because she went to the Warwick musical and she liked Tom Jones. I said, yeah. So he was jealous of her liking Tom Jones. So he said, I got a ticket. So I said to him, all right, let me grab my stuff. Guys, folk cut my hair, so let me get out of here. We got to get out of here, right? So I just run home, throw shit in the bag, and I go. So now we go down to Florida, right? So now I'm hitting on this airline stewardess from Eastern Airlines at the time, right? And I'm sitting in, and you could smoke a cigarette in the back of the plane. Yeah, Eastern Airlines used to type you could smoke back then, right? So I've been married to Debbi 44 years, right? So I'm 30. I'm 15 years older than her. So she was 18, 15. I was 33, right? So, I'm supposed to meet the stewardess. I'm supposed to go out to dinner with her, right? When she's going to fly back, and then I'll meet her there. So Bobby comes in to me. Bobby Brissett comes in, and he goes, hey, I just went down. I got a haircut down there. He goes, and the girl cut my hair. I'm going to take her out tonight. He goes, but there's this cute little blonde there, and I know you like blondes. He said, why don't you go in and see her, So I said, yeah, all right, I'll go down there. So I go down there, and I see Debbi, and she's a barber. Like, so I said to the woman there, I said, what's the longest thing you got here to get your hair cut? She goes, I don't understand. What are you asking? I said, I want to get a haircut, but what takes the longest? Oh, if you get a henna, I said, well, I want a henna. I want that girl to give me a henna, right? So instead, Bobby Briss's girlfriend's going to give me a henna. What's a henna? They take your hair, they put it in tin foil, they roll it up, they put it under a friggin' thing, it dries it all up, a henna. That's the henna. They set your hair like a girl's. So Debbie's over there, cuts. I keep opening up, hey, you want to go out tonight? Hey, you want to go out tonight? You know, I'm asking her out. That's how I got my first date with Debbie. So Debbie will tell you, the girl said she wanted to go with Bob. She goes, but I don't want to go alone. Why don't you go out with him? And she goes, and then you go. So I said to Debbie, what did you first think you liked me the first night? She goes, that night. So Debbie will tell you the story, but that's how I met her there. It was rude, trying to lift the thing up, trying to get a henna. You Google what the hennas are. Debbie will tell you what the henna was, right?
That's why he wanted the longest. You got it? Okay.
Yeah. So
Got it.
yeah, that's what I want. I wanted to figure I have time. I'd take her out, right? And then another time. So now I got this airline stewardess. I ended up dating her later. So I got her. I had a girlfriend down there, and Debbie was down there. So me and Bobby and Matt flying out a couple of weeks later. So I said, I got a problem. I got all three of them. I'm going to take them all out. And so Matt says, you're going to take them all out tonight? I said, I'll take them all out right now. He goes, I bet you $500 you can't do it. So now my kids are down there with my mother-in-law, right, my ex-mother-in-law. I said, you're right. So we bet $500. Debbie will tell you the story. So the airline stewardess, she was the best. So I put her up in the restaurant upstairs. It was at the Newport Hotel. My girlfriend was down there. She was a barmaid down there, one of the places. I put her in the middle. There's no other restaurants. So I got to put Debbie in the bar area, cocktail place there, right? Go upstairs, order the same food. Debbie will tell you the story. Right? So I went. I said, I can only figure check out my kids. I'm telling the story about how I went divorced. And you tell them the story about that. All the women just feel so bad for you, and you're raising your kids and everything else. They go downstairs, tell her the same stop story. I go check out my kids. They're upstairs. I'll be right back. Go over see Debbie. I got Debbie sitting in a bar with my ex-mother-in-law having peanuts. My ex-mother-in-law was down there with the kids, right? And so I got Matt. I said, we didn't have cell phones at the time. I don't think we had cell phones. But Matt verified that I was doing that, right? So I go downstairs, and Debbie left. She left, right? So, but anyways, I had the three of them. So I collected $500, and I call her, and her mother says, "Who's this?" And I called Debbie about 2 days later, and she goes, "My mother said some man called for you," because she's only 18. I think she was 17, but she was only 18. But when I married Debbie, she was 18. She was 18 years old. I was 15 years older than her. So, I mean, it goes on. And she'll tell you the story.
That must have raised a lot of eyebrows.
Hey, everybody raised a ton of them, right? And I brought Debbie back. I was involved with politics, and Debbie was an introvert. If she gets to know you, right, so she's the introvert that talks too much. That's what I say. She's the introvert that talks too much. Did your dad have a heart attack? Yeah.
He has 2 stints?
Yes, 2.
But it was in Asia, so maybe it was a different kind of procedure. Because I don't remember any of that. Yeah. I was very young, so my memory's foggy, but he did. Oh, my God. But how did you know she was the one of all the 3? Reason I'm asking you that.
I'll tell you the reason why. If you could make a blueprint, and you wanted to make the perfect cell phone, you want to make the perfect cell phone. So you start with a blueprint. That's how you do it. This is what you got to do. You put the parts together. Debbie's the perfect person for me. She doesn't push my buttons, although lately she has. She's sweet. She's understanding, right? She's loyal. She's caring. She didn't have any problems if I told her I was in love with my ex-wife. She didn't have that problem. I could be frank and honest with her, So it was like I didn't have to pretend, and she didn't have to pretend. So we don't have to pretend, So we're not pretenders.
That's a great thing.
Yeah.
To have. Yeah. I think that's a good way to look at it. This is totally off topic from what we've been talking about, but what's your relationship with your dad now?
My dad died. He passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
55 years ago, he died.
Well, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. He died 55 years. Yep. He died 55 years.
Did he teach you anything valuable?
I tell you what, the lesson I learned, to be honest and to be trustworthy and to take care of your kids, because he didn't do that. He didn't do that. So that's the lesson I learned from him. Do what he didn't do.
We always ask guests this question, usually towards the end. I've lost track of the time. If you were giving your granddaughters, who's at Harvard, if you were giving the commencement for her when she graduates, what would you say? What stories would you tell? What memories would you share?
Memories, or what stories would I tell her? What would I say?
Both.
If I'm giving a commencement speech, I got to give something that's going to empower these people. You got to give something to empower these people. So, I would probably tell them basically what I've told you for the last couple hours.
Exactly,
right.
But so part of this is to leave a legacy for your future generations. What would you say if you had to sum it up or tell them the most valuable thing so that their life could show up for them like your life has showed up for you?
Well, I think I would say to them, don't make the mistake that my father made. My father abandoned his family. My father abandoned me, right? I would tell you that the most precious thing in the world is your kids. It's the most precious thing. Take care of your kids. Your husband or your wife, you should take care of them. If they become bad, get a new one. But you don't get new kids. You can always get a new wife. You can always get a new husband. If they cheat on you, they do something. But you can't get your kids. Take care of your kids. Don't abandon them. Don't abandon them. Take care of your kids. Your kids need to have you there with them. That's what I would tell them. And I would also tell my granddaughter, Lila, you're majoring in, her major is, she wants to do environmental law, right? I tell her, why don't you just do criminal law? I've been fighting these environmentalists ever since I've been in the building business. I don't need another one out there. That's what I would tell her, right? That's what I would tell her, yeah. So she wants to do environmental law. I've been fighting these people over here. Forget it. Hey, how about your person next door? Arlette.
Arlette.
Is she the best?
Arlette is your biggest fan.
But do not go there in the summer after 6 o'clock.
Yes. We love Arlette.
Yeah, she's the best. I love Arlette.
And she's real.
She'll sell anything. I got to listen, we set a machine over there, take her step apart. Now, they said, what are you going to do with the stones and rocks you got there? I said, dig a hole and bury them. So I called Eddie. I said, you dig a hole and bury them? No, she made me put them in piles. She's going to sell them. She's going to sell you pricks. She's the best. She really is the best.
Oh, my God. I was just over there today.
Yeah, I love Arlette. She's wonderful.
We do, too.
Yeah, she's a good person. What else do you have there? Anything?
Oh, yeah. Many. How'd you get over the fear of asking out a girl? Because you said in the beginning you were very afraid.
I had Lila was the one I married, but I dated one girl before that, just to ask her out. Her name was Donna Moorfield. And the guys used to always say she had like big butts. They always say, it's Moorfield with Moorfield. So she was the only girl that I went out, and then Lila was the other one. I wasn't a ladies' man, right? But then Doc Willoughby said to me, he goes, there's nothing like a warm body sitting next to you. You gotta get out there and date. I said, who's gonna go out with me? He goes, plenty of people. I said, nah. He goes, look, you want to go out with somebody? So he was an alcoholic rehabilitation guy. He built Good Hope Center. So he made a deal with me. We sat right there. He said, I'll make a deal with you. I said, what's that? He said, your initiative, your drive, you help me build Good Hope Center. It's Alcoholic Rehabilitation Center. They closed. He said, and I'll help you put your life together. And I said, deal. So I needed to get a housekeeper. I had 33 housekeepers. My wife, Debbi, will tell you about this. But anyways, I go to Jamaica, and we go up in the woods. In the woods there, these people living in 55-gallon drums. Alan Willoughby was there, and the name of the place was Good Hope. So Alan named his place Good Hope. So we went there. I said, Alan, I had enough of this shit. Let's go into town. I'll share it. So I go into town. I meet some guy over there. His name was Brother. I said, brother, what do you do for a living? He said, I take care of these houses. I said, you got a nice house with a pool? He goes, yeah. So I said, I'm going to pay you on the side, right? They'll do anything for money. So we stayed there. And then we went around. He introduced me to some people. So there was a woman there. She wanted a pair of jeans and a pair of sneakers. I gave her a pair of jeans, I gave her a pair of sneakers. She said, you could take my daughter to the U.S. and she'll work for you as a housekeeper. At the time, Eddie Beard was a congressman. Eddie Beard. So I called Eddie Beard up. And I asked Eddie Beard if I could get this woman. Eddie Beard helped me get this woman through here. Showed up to clean my house. She was barefooted. She was afraid of me. I was loud and everything else. But I had to send her back, but we had 33 housekeepers. I was raising 2 boys. When Debbi came in there, she goes, I opened a club. She said there was Oreo cookies, there was Doritos, there was devil dogs. I'm a single guy. I mean, I couldn't do all of that stuff.
Do you know what a devil dog is?
No, I've never had one.
Oh,
I'll try
it. I bought a Twinkie. You know what a Twinkie is?
I know what a Twinkie is.
Yeah, devil dog. Yeah. That was all junk food.
Junk.
Speaking of your sons, the son you lost after 2 days.
His name was David.
David.
How
did you feel in the aftermath of that?
Well, I think that's probably what caused the spiral of my ex-wife. I think she got severely depressed. I'm only a 23-year-old guy, you know. I don't have the expertise for that. And, you know, I probably had that attitude of you're going to sound the charge, you know. I just went back and kept doing my work. I think Sid took advantage of that shortly after she got involved with him. You know, soft-spoken, did what I should have did that I didn't do. You know what I mean? So I think that could have been the deal. But you know, so you just go on. I mean, you just go on. I mean, that's part of life, you know. So, anyway, it's like
that's always very.
But you know, once after I had my heart attack, that's why I decided to sell this farm. I mean, if anything happens to me, how could my wife handle this farm? She could never handle that, right? And so I figured, hey, it's going to take me a couple of years to sell it. I mean, I'm not giving it away, so it's going to take me a few years to sell it, right? I got another buildable lot there. I might have somebody come in, have nice folks like you guys. If they want to buy my house, I'll sell them the house. I'll build my house on that lot. I got another lot over here. So I got options. My daughter's all pissed off because she doesn't want us to leave everything. I want to keep it in the family and everything else. But, you know, look, I'm 78 years old.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
I didn't know you were saying you don't look 78 years old.
I'm 78 years old, you know what I mean? And Debbi's 62 years old, right? Or 63 years old, right? I mean, what am I going to live forever? I mean, if I have good health and everything, I got another 4 years? I got too many.
Got a lot longer than 4 years if you have good health.
Well, health-wise and everything else. So I got too many things I got to do and see and do, and there's too many fights I got to go have. I mean, I don't have time. You know what I mean? I don't have time to get old. Like Debbi said, why don't you meet with the customers? I said, Number one, Debbi, they're not biased. Number two, I only have so many days and so many minutes, so many hours to leave. I ain't going to waste my time with them. You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at it. I mean, I don't want to waste my time. You know, people don't want to say that they're like, I mean, who the fuck would you know that has money is going to say I could spell as a 5th or a 6th grader? I mean, one of the big joys of being dyslexic was when my son Jerry asked me to help him with his homework. I turned around and said, Jerry, what grade are you in? I'm in the 8th. I can't. I'm 5th to 6th grade speller and reader. So that's what I told my son. I mean, but how many people are afraid to say, how many people are afraid to say I lived in a friggin' projects in a cement building?
Why aren't you afraid?
Huh?
Yeah, I'm very impressed by this. Why aren't you afraid?
Because that's what I did. That's what I did. And I was on welfare and I had food stamps. People ain't going to tell you that. They'll be like my sister. I'm not afraid to tell you that because, hey, I did that. But I raised 4 kids. I sent all 4 kids to college. Never took a student loan out. Never did. Never took a student loan. Educated my 4 kids. Put them through private schools too. I mean, so, you know, so I'm not afraid to say where I came from. So, you know, but I could tell you I ain't going back.
Right.
I ain't going back. I don't want to go back. But I've been there, done that. I want to move forward.
You really have an incredible story, and I would love to end it right there.
Go ahead.
But
Got it.
one last thing.
Go ahead.
We have a tradition on this show that the previous guest leaves a question for the upcoming guests, not knowing who they are, what we're going to talk about, or anything about them. So this was his question. If you can come back as any animal, what would you be? If you died and reincarnated, I don't know if you believe in that, but in that hypothetical world, what animal would you choose to be?
I think I would come back as a dog.
Why?
Because I think people pet their dogs. They take care of their dogs. And they're nice to their dogs. Right? So I think that's what I would want to be. I want people to be nice to me, take care of me, and I would want to be a dog. And I think a dog is loyal, and I'm a loyal person. So I don't want to come back as a lion because I'm going to bite somebody or kill somebody. And I'm not that type of person. I'm a loyal person. So I think I would come back as a dog.
And so what question would you like to leave for the next guest?
I'd say to him, you got any money, want to buy my farm?
I'll write that down.
That's what I would say to him. This is fun. I can remember your son when he was 6, 7 years old on that little thing. This kid is an impressive person. I'm very impressed with this kid. He's an impressive person. 16 years old, I can't believe that.
That means a lot coming from you.
Jerry.
Yeah, very impressive. Very impressive.
Well, you've been able to accomplish. That does mean a lot.
Thank you.
Last thing, what question would you leave for the next person? Other than do you have any money, want to buy my farm?
Buy my farm.
Which I will ask.
I guess I would probably, I don't know what type of guests you have and stuff like that, but
business people.
I think I would say to them, if you had to leave a time capsule, what would you leave in your time capsule from today?
Do you feel doing this has been worthwhile of your time?
Yeah, because I like you guys, and I don't mind telling my story. I mean, I like telling my story. If you go on Facebook, I got a thing over here on Facebook. If you go on it, right? Let me just see where this friggin' thing is. I even hate this getting on Facebook, but here it is.
I'll wrap it.
So here's my things on Facebook. So I'll show you this. So here they are. 10 rules I live by. Those are the 10 rules I live by. Show up no matter what the challenge. 2, money never sleeps. 3, always answer and return your calls. I hate when you call and people don't answer. 4, there's no advantage to being late. Don't be late. 5, Protect and love your family, because they will be there after you pass. Vote the person, not the party. Remember that I'm a Christian and there are God's commandments to follow too. Try to meet a different person every day, no matter what their walk of life is. This I find educational. 9. Don't judge people by their wealth. A $60 watch tells the same time as a $60,000 watch. 10. Don't allow yourself to be bored. Push yourself to be engaged. These are the things I think about every day. Remember that what you do today are your memories for tomorrow, so make them good. That's me.